Ooh, why is this kind of blurry? Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing? Let me, oh, looks... Is this blurry? Or is it... I feel like it's not focused. How's everyone doing, guys? It's like on my broken headset. It is a little blurry. Yeah, it's weird. Why is this not focusing? I feel like... One second. I just zoomed in on my face more. What is happening? Still not really that focused. This is kind of weird. Turn on Chris's music. All right, well, we're starting off the stream very hot. I will be fine. I don't want to listen to Christmas, so I'll take this off. Broken ass headset anyways. Yeah, hope you're all doing well, and I'm sorry for not streaming this last little bit. It's been busy, and I've been focusing streaming. So I've been focusing playtesting for Worlds, as well as the YouTube side of things. So, yeah. Are you going to watch Farfa's BA vid? Yeah, I am going to watch Farfa's BA vid. That was on my to-do list. Farfa messaged me on Monday, and he's like, hey, can you do this BA tournament I want to do on Wednesday to celebrate the Dante's birthday or whatever? And I'm like, yeah, that sounds awesome, because he knows I love Burning Abyss as well. And then he just scrapped the idea and left me hanging. So I still want to do something to honor my Burning Abyss brethren. So we will be doing that. There's also a video that I saw on Josh's channel, him reacting to a zoologist reviewing Paleozoic cards. I don't want to react to that. I want to react to the original video, but I love animals and all that nature nonsense, if you guys know anything about me. So that sounds awesome. And I know he already reacted to it, but you'll get a different perspective, because I think at least that I'm a lot more of a nature person than Josh is. At least I think so. I guess I don't know Josh personally enough to know if he has the same level of animal interest. Farfa said no one agreed to do it. I agreed. Yo, screw Farfa. Hold on, now I have to put him on blast. No. Now he gets exposed. Now he gets exposed. He can't do that to me. He can't do that to me. Here we go. Here. Screen. What should I do? Will this work? Okay. Here. Can I bully you into a content idea this Wednesday? Depends what's up. I want to run a mini 4-person Burning Abyss tournament for the 10th anniversary. I said, sure, I should be free. What time? Probably like midday-ish. Premises, we play a unique version of BA. And I messaged him a day later. It's like, what do I need to do and when so I can be ready? And then he's like, he's not sure if he wants to do it. Bloody fartfa. Like, it's crazy. Like, this is blasphemy, you know? He's trying to downplay my commitment to the Burning Abyss cause. That's not okay. That's not okay. But we will watch the video. For those who don't know, Burning Abyss was the deck I got my first 4 tops with, all with Burning Abyss decks. And yeah, so I love this deck. I'm all for it. Did he post it yet? The story of the greatest Yu-Gi-Oh deck, or Yu-Gi-Oh's greatest deck ever. So he abandoned us for the plans to celebrate Dante's birthday, but we'll still celebrate in our own right, guys? So I just put my headset back on. Let's start off the video, or start off the stream with some BA, some BA reacts. I'm gonna turn off the Christmas music because we'll put it on later. It'll resume after the video. But yeah, so as always, though, before we continue, make sure we are also subbing and liking to Farfa. Good old Farfa, who is a big fat liar. Steal the idea, make your own video of BA mirrors. To be fair, I don't think it is that good for content. I think people will get bored. So I don't blame him for wanting to cancel it. But blaming it on other people's crazy. Is he still streaming? Maybe we should go raid his chat. Real quick. Follow channel. Oh, no, it's not live. I missed them. All right. Damn, I don't get to put Farfa on blast. That's all right. We all know Farfa's a liar. Proof's in the pudding right here. He's yeah, little shyster. He went offline right when he posted the video. He ran away. I wanted to be live earlier. Damn, I could have got a host room. That would have been nice. Okay. Anyways, let's get into this. The story of Yu-Gi-Oh's greatest decks. I wonder if I get mentioned at all. Probably not. I'm not like significant enough with BA. I did well with it, but people did better than me. Oh, maybe. Oh, actually, no. If he does mention me, I know when he'll mention me. He'll mention me for me swapping decks in the top 8 BA mirror match. That's what he'll mention. Ah, fuck. That's gonna happen, won't it? Okay. Well, I'm gonna keep watching, I guess, and find out.
I've been doing anything.
Oh, this is kind of soft. Make it louder.
Playing a Yu-Gi-Oh deck. But 10 years to the day is the anniversary of one of Yu-Gi-Oh's most influential and notorious.
Ooh, we got some Vivaldi, some Italian music. This is nice. Dude, I get copyright strikes anytime I use classical music. How did you do? I mean, I need to ask how to do this. I'd love to use classical music more.
Decks ever created. A lot of you watching right now may only really know Burning Abyss as that weird legacy deck that...
This is gonna be not even monetizable on my college channel, I think. It's kind of rough. Copyrighting classical, because people can copyright their covers of the classical music. Like their recordings of it. And because like these old ass songs don't have a digital recording in the classical in like the original version, because you know obviously it didn't exist back then.
One streamer guy occasionally talks about. Some of you around long enough on my channel may remember the original Legacy of the Burning Abyss video I posted 7 years ago.
1000 days of meta. Good old days, man.
Well, here it is again. Polished, remastered, but most importantly of all, updated to celebrate today.
I'm also just nerding out because how much I love this. I love this piece. Winters is so good. I don't know if you guys have seen, or I watch TikTok videos like sometimes, and the amount of like One Piece reels and they're fighting, and then they start playing a trap version of this piece, and it's so troll.
The 10-year anniversary of the release of Burning Abyss.
Where were you when the Burning Abyss attacked? When Burning Abyss got announced was 2014. I would have been 14. Nationals would have already been finished, right? Oh no, they announced it at Nationals, right? They announced it at Nationals, I think. They may have announced Skarm at Nationals, but not all the cards. But I remember thinking these were so cool. Me and my friends, I was obviously much more scrub back then, really started fearing these cards with Monarchs, and that became like the predominant way to play it. But obviously there were still many innovations being made. I'm sure you'll talk about them as well. Like Rank of Magic Astral Force, make Pallades was a very big one that people talked about. But I remember I couldn't afford this deck at the time, but I started playing Infernity because that deck was just good from the previous format. And I managed to win enough money from tournaments with Infernity that I could build Burning Abyss. That being said, however, I did not build it in time for YCS Toronto this year. So even though the first YCS, I believe, with BA will be Toronto, I was still an Infernity bum, and I lost on the bubble to the world champion Sahabi. I got fucking destroyed. I got shat on so bad. 18 Hot Pockets, thank you so much for the sub. Appreciate it.
Burning Abyss is one of the greatest and most innovative archetypes ever printed. Regardless of what you think about the deck.
Oh man, dude, Ulti Monarchs looks so good. This is Jeff. This is Jeff. Yeah. You know your friends. You can tell by their like their mannerisms who they are.
It is one of the longest reigning meta decks historically, taking on multiple different shapes and forms over the course of its dominance, as well as during its stint as a rogue deck. Burning Abyss is an archetype with 11 main deck monsters, a ritual monster,
That's still a main deck monster, but sure.
Ritual spell, a fusion spell, 2
These cards are so bad. These cards are broken.
trap cards, and 4.5 extra deck monsters. The gimmick of Burning Abyss is a rank 3 deck with parallel effects across the entire main deck. Each Mala branch of the Burning Abyss is able to special summon itself from the hand for free, providing you do not control any spells and traps. Most Burning Abyss monsters also have a graveyard effect that trigger even when discarded or sent as a cost. Given the power level of 2014, each effect was once per turn, meaning you couldn't just spam the field with 4 names, send them all into the graveyard by detaching off of Xyz and triggering them again. Despite this massive and really heavy restriction by 2024 standards, that was absolutely fine and not really a huge weakness 10 years ago. Backed up with some staple trap cards that have graveyard synergies like Karma Cut or Windblast, Burning Abyss has usually been a control deck, relying on a decently strong boss monster.
I mean, I had other combo-ish iterations.
Leading up to the inaugural set, Duelist Alliance, it was seen by many to be the major upscale of power creep in modern-day Yu-Gi-Oh! At the time. You see, this was basically the power of the elements of 2014.
What a weird thing to say. It's the power of the elements of 10 years ago.
Because at the time, we were going from setting a glorified man-eater bug in...
Nah. This is like a bit of a, like, confusion thing. Like, this was the control deck of the time. We had just watched the World Championship where Infernity with 3 Soul Charge won. So, like, this is not the standard.
In the form of Firehand, to fusing from our main deck and going +5. Now, the majority of the community were fixated on Shaddolls, and even some people were on Yangzing because Chinese dragons are really cool, and it was the introduction of the Worm type. Long story short...
And Tellers. People care about Tellers more than Yangzing. That deck was very popular in release, the Teller Knight deck, because the +1s. And coming out of the control format where +1s like Mermelli were very good, Deneb and Altair were just like extremely high value cards. But obviously in reality, those don't do well. Is Burning Abyss one of the lineup on your YouTube series? Honestly, I hadn't thought about it. Oh man, I should have done that today. Holy shit. If I made a Burning Abyss video today, that would have been awesome. I'll probably do one in the future though, for sure.
And with 3 Shaddol fusion, Soul Charge, and Super Polymerization. Shaddol was poised to be a tier 0 threat and a dominant deck for the new age of Yu-Gi-Oh! So in the lead up to Duelist Alliance, not many eyes were on Burning Abyss for competitive viability, other than their cool lore and artwork. The deck didn't really seem to offer much on paper. Summon a 2500 beater and then set a Wing Blast? What is this, 2004? On the other hand, some people were pretty hyped about being able
I mean, those are pretty good.
From the Underworld, one of the most...
Okay, no one thought BA was that bad. Like, BA was good immediately on release as well. People were definitely, like, speculating shit. There were a lot of bad ideas, though. Like, people wanted to play Supply Squad. That card sucked, but a lot of people loved that crap.
Iconic competitive Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and later the face of Duel Links. But in the end phase,
Duel
there's
Links.
no way that this was going to be a viable deck, surely. While this era was the social media uptick for Yu-Gi-Oh's presence online, there wasn't that much crossover into the OCG metagame. We had some knowledge of what was going on over there, and needless to say, that focus again was all on Shaddol. Shaddol Winda was like a looming monster under the bed for TCG players. An indestructible monster that only...
Winda's crazy. Winda's still crazy.
Effectively was going to kill off almost every competitive deck at the time by herself. No Moral Attack, no Firehand, and without any ideas to Burning Abyss's viability for the matchup since this was a TCG exclusive deck. It meant that there was no frame of reference for how good Burning Abyss could actually be. And so, the meta for late 2014 was predicted to be basically Shaddol versus everything else, like In Denial Hat players that finally managed to get a playset of Artifact Sanctums. And by the way, nobody was summoning Scythe 10 years ago.
Chapter 1,
wasn't fast enough.
Duelist Alliance, August 14th, 2014.
Duelist Alliance saw the release of
He's
the
getting
bread and
engaged to
butter cards of
narrate
Burning
this.
Abyss, and arguably still today, their most powerful grassroots monsters. Dante himself is one of the greatest XE monsters ever printed, and potentially the most summoned, although nowadays that might be second place after Zeus. It had a huge
Zeus
amount of
is good.
defense. It floated, it could beat over most relevant cards in the format, and it could still use its effect while negated by things like Effect Veiler or Skill Drain. It's not an exaggeration to say that the original 3 Burning Abyss monsters are still, from wave number 1, perhaps the
These are like by card quality standard. These are probably still like really good cards. The Skarm is like meh, but this is like very good card quality still. The self-destruct thing does make it a bit weak to side deck cards, but very solid.
best Burning Abyss cards. Graph summons any Burning Abyss from deck, Seer summons any Burning Abyss from the graveyard, including correctly summoned extra deck monsters, and Skarm searches any level 3 Dark Fiend from the deck during the end phase. And that includes Tour Guide from the Underworld, an honorary Burning Abyss monster. The very early playtesting for Burning Abyss was quite limited. Activate Supply Squad, summon Mathematician, send a Graph, special summon Skarm, which destroys itself, letting you draw a card, set a Wing Blast, and then get Tour Guide to pass.
I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh was slower back then, that was fine.
As the deck had. And that's if you wanted to play something like Supply Squad, which saw some popularity. There were a few options, like lots of discard traps, Karma Cut, Windblast, Divine Wrath, naturally with the nature of graveyard effects, Mathematicians with a Shaddol Dragon, just to hit back row, and Rank Up Magic Astral Force, because you can
this
make
one
Dante
sucked,
into
but people played it.
Constellar Pleiades, never of course being able to summon a Burning Abyss monster again, since all the Burning Abyss monsters have the Xenolock of immediately destroying themselves if another non-Burning Abyss monster is on the field. Astral Force was a pretty big part part of the early Burning Abyss deck building, as you could use it with the infamous Seer Dante loop of always having him return to the field and then bring back the Seer to your hand to keep it ad infinitum. Meaning, with an endless supply of Dante,
There were just
with the
better
cost
plays
of
in this,
skipping your
though, that's
draw
the thing.
phase, well, you
Frick3, thank you so much for the sub. Appreciate it.
could make Constellar Pallades every turn as it was a light warrior, like Dante, resummon the Dante with Seer after it destroys itself, and then in main phase 2 you could get yourself a Downward Magician. And if at some point you had a spare Skarm, you could also get Tour Guide for the following turn, since you didn't need the draw phase. So surprisingly, it was a decent amount of field presence and tempo for that era, especially since you could just mill the Astral
I
Force
thought
and
the
didn't need to
Jesse
draw
was
it.
cooked.
Now the first major events for Duel Alliance were
Thank you for the sub, Europa Boy. Appreciate it. I should react to the out of context zoologist reacting to Paleos. That's on the list of today's stuff to do, yeah. Weiss's Madrid top cut, Shadal, Teller, BA. I mean, BA really wasn't like appreciated enough initially. I think there was better representation of Weiss's Toronto, but it still wasn't as good. We had draft though, so you don't really see what deck wins the tournament. Like Patrick Hoban won with Shadal, but top 16 was draft, so I mean, it doesn't mean much.
YCS Madrid and YCS Toronto, both on the same weekend. Burning Abyss achieved moderate success at these events as a kind of hyped up stun deck, but was obviously outshined in performance by the insane combo plays that Shadal offered.
Pretty good.
It wasn't that Burning Abyss was bad right now, it's just that Chaos Shadals with a Lightsworn engine, triple Soul Charge, triple Super Poly was really ridiculous. Now a major landmark accomplishment for Burning Abyss at YCS Madrid was a deck called Shabbos, because if you can't beat them, then join them. There was a top 8 finish for the deck, playing and utilizing both archetypes of Shadal and Burning Abyss, running
Billy Break then won a YCS with a 60 card version of this. That is so cool. It's actually just so much fun as well. You get to use all the broken cards like this. It's just a very slow but fun control deck. And like, it's actually pretty solid. This deck is awesome.
Curry Bandit, and beginning of the end to turbo through the deck and trigger multiple graveyard effects. This was kind of a milestone in Burning Abyss deck building, for the deck would go on to be combined and mixed with so many different archetypes for years to come. Burning Abyss also won an ARG championship in September with a smooth 20-20 ratio, and this was the era of ARG championships being relevant, competitive events that players would look to for new techs and innovations. This list was playing things like the Duel Dragon, Descend with Mathematician, Trap Stun for the Mirror, and Satella Knights, with Mind Crush, and even Ariza the Storm Monarch. And then the ban list came. On October 1st, 2014, it limited Soul Charge, Raigeki, and Super Polymerization. This severely crippled Shadal's and leveled the playing field for Burning Abyss.
NBA was already
So
better, to
we
be
had
honest.
the legendary Billy Break to save us and come up with a strategy to fix and define the meta for us at the
I
forthcoming
thought that Jesse was
YCS Dallas
cooked.
in that same month. How do we make our decks consistent and still powerful post-ban list?
60
Well,
cards.
apparently the best way to break the meta is to play every card in said meta.
It's fucking
Billy's
awesome.
60
This
card
deck is great.
YCS Dallas list is an extension of Shabbos, but with more traps and a whole artifact engine, while taking advantage of the versatility of cards like Mathematician, being able to trigger basically
beginning and the end
anything
is so
printed in
based.
Duelist Alliance.
And you use Curry Bandit to mill 5. Oh my god, this deck was awesome. Rainbow, thank you so much for the gifted sub. Appreciate it.
Hindsight, looking back at it now, Billy Break might have been the first person to play a pile deck like this, especially since the mantra at the time was 40 cards is the best. What kind of looks like a somewhat normal deck in principle for 2024, meaning running over significantly 40 cards, and mashing multiple engines together and archetypes that have just a little thread of overlap. I mean, you are kind of looking at something like a Hulk Punk pile, for example, from 22, but just 8 years prior.
Chapter 2, The New Challengers, November 6, 2014.
New Challengers was a booster pack that contained fairly underwhelming support for the deck, at least when you compared it to the original graphs.
Nah, Firelake was
Alex,
crazy.
The best one, who could be used for negating Flying Sea, a very powerful anti-BA card, or a detached...
Well,
from
I
the
just
Quick
realized,
Lightning
did he just not mention Traveler at all, the first trap card? That's lame. That card was nice.
act as a kind of Walmart Veiler, and Calcab, which was pretty much just an extra name. And during this time, we also saw the introduction of the tuner monster Rubik, which had very funny
Cubic.
misinformation leaks at the time. And of course, Virgil, an underappreciated...
Yeah, so if you all don't remember, there were leaks on what Rubik did, and it was said to like revive itself and then draw a card or something. It was just like completely fictitious and broken. That's obviously not how it works.
monster that could be brought back with Seer. For the rest of the meta, notable cards released were those such as Shadal Hound. Now let me tell you, when you
What? How is this notable? No one played this crap. The most like probably the biggest card in Next Challengers was Denko Seka. That did make a difference. And Black and White Dragon are Shadow Specters or this set? They might have been Shadow Specters. But El Shadal Fusion was huge and Denko Seka.
just lost multiple soul charges and super polymerizations, Shadal Hound feels bad as a Shadal player. It was an insultingly terrible card that I don't even remember what it does.
Why is he talking about Shadal Hound? El Shadal Fusion is the actual card that Shadal got.
and nor do I think it's ever been played in a deck. However, Shaddoll did get L Shaddoll
Okay.
fusion, which means they were now able to
Just
dodge
time-
Karma Cut
just
during the battle phase and
Literally just filler content. The video was an hour long. He didn't need to include anything about Shaddoll Hound. Nobody would have known or cared.
construct. A quick play fusion spell, more fusion spells, to further trigger all of the materials and advance the game state. Satellarknights also got a new monster whose main effect was the antithesis of Burning Abyss and Shaddoll, non-destructive removal with Triver. So you were now basically forced to make lots of Downer Magicians with Seers and Dantes as your materials, or your deck would be simply bounced away. By having Dantes as material, you would simply get to add everything back
Card
and
is
then
really
summon
good,
all of your Burning Abyss
for
monsters
sure.
again next turn. It also had the effect where it would discard one card from your hand, but in the format of Shaddoll and BA, that was not a very clever idea. A new archetype also came into the fray, Cliffort. Cliffort would become the Achilles heel of Shaddoll, while at the same time being a fairly balanced to very favorable matchup for Burning Abyss, depending on how quickly you came to realize that Fire Lake of the Burning Abyss was one of the most broken cards of the format. A trap which tributes 2 Burning Abyss monsters, triggering their
Top
effects, and
3.
then destroys 3 cards on the field. Very strong against the Pendulum deck with Scales, Skill Drain, and multiple different floodgates like Rivalry of Warlords,
Should be
or Shadow
emptiness.
Imprisoning Mirror. And so the last relevant card to mention from new challenges was Denko Sekka.
Yep.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Yeah, Denko Sekka. If you haven't experienced the pure terror and fear of when your opponent asks if they can enter the main phase knowing that they're playing Shaddoll while you have a Dante in 3 back row, one of which cannot answer the Denko, then good for you, because that was a very scary time to be setting back row. The first big event of new challenges was ARG Raleigh. Patrick Hoban went on to win this event and then win the YCS Anaheim 2 weeks later with basically the same deck, maining enemy controller so that you could OTK your opponent.
Yeah, these are very
with
popular.
constructs,
Steel cards,
or
the setup
take your
tokens for them.
opponent's Dantes to rank up into Downed Magicians. You see, now that Burning Abyss was gaining some popularity, the mirror match became quite common, and so outing a 25 floating defender with a 25 beater is, well, that's gonna cause a grind game. The only
I love BA mirrors, yeah, because the grind was kind of hard to navigate, and it felt like a lot like chess. I think it was really cool, and the better player often won the BA mirrors.
way to remove your opponent's Dantes with pure engine was to make your own Dante, not use the effect, rank up into Downer in main phase 2, and then attack.
That play
over,
is
then
terrible. Holy shit, never do this play. This play is awful. Oh my god. Don't listen to Farfa. This play is actually horrible. Never do this play. Ever. Don't ever, ever, ever do this play. Oh my god. Whew. If you do this, the whole problem is you lock yourself into non-burning abyss monsters, and if they just fart for this and then summon back the Dante, you can't like do anything. This play is like so bad. Oh my god. Yeah, no, this play's terrible.
next turn. Or there was also Virgil, but resolving Virgil into 3 back row was gonna be a bit of an issue. So a lot of early
Virgil's
Burning
fine because it floats and you can keep bringing back with Seer, but yeah.
mirror matches did kind of result in a staring contest for who could top deck non-engines like Karma Cut first. Now this was while most of us were still playing Burning Abyss as if it was a stun deck, in a format with 3 El Shaddoll Fusion and 3 Denko Sekka. This was one of the reasons why Patrick Hoban was seen as one of the greatest players at the time. Format after format up until this point, throughout the Hat era, he would be the one pioneering and leading the way
Bullying
for
Farfa.
creativity
Yeah.
for breaking the format. Patrick Hoban revolutionized the way Burning Abyss was played, because while everyone looked at Rubik and saw
He said in theory it's like the only engine way to do it, but like Downer isn't an engine then. At that point you could say any rank 3. Why not go for, say, Acid Golem? It's still a terrible play, but like I mean, so what we do is you'd go Giga Brilliant, right? So you'd just put a bunch of different Dantes on the field and you'd summon Giga Brilliant, a rank 3 that says detach 1, give all of your guys 300 attack permanently. So it makes all your Dantes 28. And that's how you'd swing over. That's how you'd play game. They left themselves open without floaters.
it as just nothing more than a vanilla tuner that you could maybe play as a one-off to access Virgil, Patrick Hoban realized that Rubik and the others were essentially free monsters that you could summon to make more Dantes. Similarly, like Calcap, while it was kinda just terrible, it was still a Burning Abyss monster. They could all be spammed onto the field to make more Dantes, mill 3.
Says
and then
Alec
try
is
and
better,
make ones
Calcap's
like
worse.
Grack
2
and Seer
Calcap, 1
to
Alec.
then make
Alec
more
Calcap,
Dantes,
Calcap gets so much hate, man. Calcap is fine. Calcap is not a bad card.
or hit Scarm and get Tour Guide for next turn. So, having multiple Dantes to blow away with Fire Lake was absolutely ludicrous against Cliffort, and so that was essentially the whole of new challengers, the infamous triangle and rock, paper, scissors format. On paper, it was Burning Abyss, which beats Cliffort, which beats Shaddoll, which should beat Burning Abyss, with Satellarknight kind of on the fringes. In
Not really.
hindsight, Burning Abyss was
More
definitely
nuanced than that, I
the better of
think.
the 3, completely shitting on Cliffort, and being fairly balanced against Shaddoll, because while Shaddoll was extremely powerful and easily the highest ceiling deck of the format, it was a fusion deck, and a fusion deck that does not draw a fusion spell, well, you've all seen Branded. Consistently summoning 2 level 3s was just statistically going to happen more often than drawing a fusion spell, Light Monster, and Shaddoll, with the 4th card being Denko Sekka as a bonus. It just couldn't compare in terms of consistency.
Chapter 3. Secrets of Eternity, January 15th,
Terrible sets, but it did have good cards for Burning Abyss.
2015.
Konami finally limited Moral Attack about 3 formats too late. Yeah, really, they thought that that was the problem going into 2015. Just as a fun piece of trivia for those of you watching this back in 2024, yeah, nothing's changed. Remember when the Wind Barrier statue was banned way after Flu's peak? Yeah,
No.
this has been happening for a while.
That barrier statue hit was perfectly justifiable, and if they didn't do that, it still would have been a problem. So like that's not even a bad hit. I feel like if you want to talk about Konami making bad hits, there are so many more cases of that. The barrier statue is actually one of the more reasonable hits.
Internet Explorer ban lists. Super Poly also got banned, and for some reason Snatch Steal came back for literally one format, only before getting immediately banned in the next.
Failed experiments.
The earliest examples of a whoops that I can remember for ban lists. 2 weeks later, Secrets of Eternity was released. This included more names to spam onto the field, and
Kagna. Underrated as well. Libich is broken.
an actual good main deck monster that wasn't just there as Dante and discard fodder. That was yours truly, Farfa. This gave Burning Abyss a reliable and consistent way to deal with Winda. And now, Burning Abyss got Good and Evil, a card which lets you discard things like Graph and Seer to search
This
Fire
card was
Lake
bait.
from your deck. It also lets you ritual summon the newly released Malakoda, but that is genuinely not worth talking about, so we're going to move on from that. This was also the set that had
But Shadal Hound was worth talking about.
Kagna, which allowed you to send Good and Evil from deck to the grave, and probably the most important one of in the deck, Libich. Libich's effect meant that you know how to way to summon Burning Abyss monsters to the field without them blowing themselves up like with Mathematician. In order to balance this solid support, Konami then gave Cliffort Stealth, an unrespondable semi-sort of towers, and a card that lets you draw for everything that you tributed that turn, Cliffort Monolith. Satellanites got Satellanite Constellar Diamond, a card that, if you read closely
Very
on the
good
original
card.
effect text, says absolutely shit on Burning Abyss and Shadal. This card negates and destroys dark monsters, and prevents sending from deck to the grave, and banishes cards returned from grave to hand. If you've read Shadal, Fusion, and Dante, you can see what they were trying to do with Constellar Diamond. So all of the relevant meta decks got really good new juicy support. Oh, except for Shadal, they did also get a card. They got Shadal Wendigo. A card
And
which
they also got
nobody-
Nef Shadal Fusion, both of which were so bad. I pulled so many of those cards. They're so terrible and were so worthless. Oh my
in the
god.
history of this game has ever played in a deck list, except in a Sub-Terror Remote Duel Extravaganza list in the extra deck. And nobody really knew why. Let's move on. Burning Abyss were now pretty much above the triangle, and about a mile ahead of the competition. Even despite the best efforts of Satellanite, the consistency of summoning any 2 level 3s, milling 3 for cost, and generating the advantage in tempo for free was simply too much for the other decks to deal with. Even with Cliffort's and Shadal's higher ceilings, Burning Abyss was just far too good at dealing with problems with fewer cards, while also floating in the process whenever the cards hit the graveyard. And all of this culminated at YCS Charleston 2015. Apart from that crazy dude winning Swiss with Volcanics, the representation of Burning Abyss in Top Cut was almost 2/3 of the meta.
I bubbled up this event.
Clifford and a few Shadal. This was peak Burning Abyss at full power, with Fire Lakes, Econs, lots of names to spam the board with, and Farfa to deal with problem cards. These numbers are bigger than Snake Eye today, to give you some context for how dominant Burning Abyss was.
Chapter 4, The Secret Forces, February 12th, 2015.
It must suck being a deck during the period in time where Konami releases 2 back-to-back archetypes that arguably rival the power of Dragon Rulers. Yeah, it's 2015, so the barometer for power creep in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is still Dragon Ruler. From this set, never again would Burning Abyss see anything like the dominance and its power that it had in YCS Charleston before the release of Secret Forces.
I mean, this
Nothing will
deck's
come
crazy.
close to that performance for Burning Abyss, so in terms of raw numbers, this kind of was the peak. With the introduction of Nekroz, everything about the entire Burning Abyss archetype was directly countered. Unicorn stops you from beating over anything and using most of your extra deck. Bryanak was
So,
non-destructive
The
removal.
hot take that I've said many times on the channel is that I think BA is actually favored in a lot of the times against Nekroz. So the thing with Nekroz is it stops monsters summoned from the extra deck, but if you summon a Dante and put it in the graveyard and then revive it with Seer, it is no longer summoned from the extra deck. So that would beat Shadal Fusion and beat Bryanak. It was the best way of playing around stuff. And Nekroz feels pretty bad at the trap cards, to be honest. They can like apply pressure with like level 4 like Manju Unicorn to like force out traps with battle. But if you have a Dante blocking that up and then some powerful traps, honestly I felt like really comfortable versus the Nekroz deck.
Trishula was also non-destructive removal that could also break the Seer Dante loop. Valkyra stopped OTKs, and the deck very easily made Abyss Dweller. Everything good and strong that Burning Abyss had to offer was directly countered with the release of Nekroz. At YCS Tacoma in February 2015, the first major event of the Secret Forces, 22 of 32 top...
Nekroz couldn't out Dante plus Wing Blast. Assuming the Dante is summoned from the grave, yeah. What's up, Marcus? Yeah, you're a dumbass. Still played Nekroz. So, what does it say about you? What's this? Top 32 dual sim decks. What tournament is this? Oh, this is Seattle. Wait, there were only 532 players at Seattle. Dude, Northwest gets so few events. I wonder how many players will be at Sacramento this weekend. That could be pretty few.
Cut spots were all Nekroz. Now, Burning Abyss, however, did somehow take 4 top cut spots. But as you can see, the deck went from almost tier 0 to a complete anti-meta rogue deck overnight. Oh, how the mighty had fallen. And this was out the ban list. At YCS Prague, however, nothing really changed.
Tacoma, not even
Nekroz was
Seattle.
still-
Same shit.
Oh, what's that? Oh, yes, and that's right. You better get used to this, because this is going to happen a lot. For some reason, Burning Abyss managed to win a YCS in Nekroz format. A crazy French duelist called Valens Latut managed to Raigeki break and wind blast his way to a win.
He was ahead of his time.
YCS format against the field of the most powerful deck ever printed in Yu-Gi-Oh! By this point in time. Heroes Strike, a structure deck centered around, you guessed it, Heroes, was released a
Dark
month
Law
prior,
spotted.
but nobody really gave it much attention.
The card sucked
other
in
than
this
budgeting
deck,
hero players, of
but
course. Mask
the
Change
discard
2
outlet
was a new
like
card that
type
could
of
easily
playing was for sure the best way to play this deck. This is a worse discard outlet than Raigeki Break, Wing Blast type cards, but it's still a discard outlet. So Valens was still very much ahead of the curve in terms of the way to play this deck.
that you make Dark Law in Burning Abyss. And it seems that Dark Law did play a huge role in toppling Nekroz by banishing key combo pieces from their hand that they would search out, while also keeping the graveyard banished. Nevertheless, this short-lived success can truthfully be relegated to an anomaly. After YCS Prague, Nekroz won the rest of the YCSs and major events during this half of the year until national season.
So you
In
just have
April
to
of
remember though that at least for NA, which is and for Latin America, which is the majority of events. Actually, I don't know if Latin America was draft, but North America was draft. So you have to just be like conscious of that.
2015, all of the major Duel Alliance decks got a hit on the ban list. Clifford's lost some consistency with a Scout and 2 Sacrifice going to 1, but most importantly, 4 of their 6 main decked copies of Emptiness and Skill Drain were hit, making it an even easier
Fuck
matchup
these
for Burning
cards.
Abyss. The Snatch Steel Boo Boo was fixed, and Burning Abyss lost the best normal summon ever printed down to just a single copy.
Didn't matter.
of Tour Guide
Searchable.
from the Underworld. Somehow,
Tour Guide was bait. So the reason why Tour Guide's actually bait in Burning Abyss, I mean, it's not like bad, but the reason that it's bait is when you get stopped on Tour Guide, you can't then summon any of the Burning Abyss from your hand. You can't extend past it. Tour Guide should pretty much be your final push as the Burning Abyss deck. So a lot of like the mark for what would be a good Burning Abyss player is knowing when to use Tour Guide. Because after 3 people would slam it down and they would just hope it worked. But especially when it was at 1 and saving it became that much more important because now not only were you wanting to get the most value out of it, but also you had to make sure not to F yourself and manage resources. That using your one tour guide was probably the biggest, like, or what was not the biggest, but like was a large part of determining how good someone was with Burning Abyss. The misplay that cost me going to the World Championship in 2016 was me grabbing tour guide at the wrong time, knowing it's incorrect because I was nervous. People say, how do I not get nervous? I've been nervous. That is an example of me not going to the World Championship as a result of my nerves. So, like, I got nervous, fucked up, and then didn't go to Worlds and choked. That has happened. You just got to get past it. You're always summoning Terratop first? Yeah, I mean, that wasn't out at the time. I mean, that point in time it was, but yeah. Always summoning 2 BAs. I mean, if you can, yeah, but people still, like, just don't understand how to use Tour Guide. Like, if you get Veiled in Tour Guide and leave it there, the problem is, like, if you're playing versus, like, a deck, or then if you're the person playing against your opponent and they have the Tour Guide up, you can just, like, intentionally summon stuff in defense mode, not kill the Tour Guide, and they're stuck under their own Tour Guide as a lock for another turn. Then next turn, you recruit enough resources to OTK them, and you just clap them. But, yeah.
how Shadal managed to evade this ban list? I suppose that must have been Konami's way of saying sorry for printing Shadal, Hound, and Wendigo. Oh, and Gladbeast Bestiari went from 1 to 3. Finally, Gladbeast format. Konami decided to get
Back in the day, every single ban list, people would be like, Gladiator Beast is finally meta again, and everyone would start, at least in my locals, everyone would start playing Gladiator Beast. It's so funny how, like, that was like the biggest meme deck of every ban list was Gladiator Beast was the Copium deck that was now playable, and there'd be random new support to help you, like Hero Lives for Prisma,
I thought
or
that Jesse was
Onslaught of the Fire Kings can summon Laquari. Like, these cards sucked, but people still tried it. Thanks to the sub, Squirrel. Appreciate it.
Nekroz a gentle hit of Preparation of Rites to 1 and Bryanak to 2. A little consistency hit and nothing more, since it was basically just released.
Yeah, in retrospect, like, imagine comparing Gladiator Beast to Nekroz and Burning Abyss and Shaddoll. What the fuck, man?
While the best deck in the game lost pretty much nothing, they still got to keep Jin, Releaser of Rituals, a searchable card which could stop your opponent from special
Piece
summoning
of shit.
by sending it to the graveyard with Lavaval Chain. Yeah, that card was still legal. So, no longer was the combo-based style of Burning Abyss viable. It had to resort to going...
So what I'm saying is the next YCS will be one like that. No. So there's going to be a ban list just now. And then the next YCS afterwards is Lille, France. So France is going to be one like Gladiator Beast, the new ban list. I'm telling you, Josh Schmidt is going to win YCS France with Runic Gladiator Beast. And you see, it's like Runic Tenpai because it's so good. Gladiator Beasts need their battle phase to tag out, but with Runics, you don't get your battle phase. So you have to be super creative, and it really forces them to flex his creative muscles. The original Tenpai Runic is Tenpai Gladiator Beast. There you go. Don't give Skrelp ideas. He's gonna go and give them to Josh, and then they'll make content for his stream. There you go.
back to becoming a trap deck that would have to grind its way out of the Jin lock, while also somehow not getting Dweller Brian Act. Oh, and did I mention Denko Sekka could be played in Nekroz?
Chapter 5, Cross Souls, May 14th, 2015.
This set
Drag
saw the
Hig.
release of
Drag Hig is Dante Pilgrim's awesome, but Drag Hig is also just one of my underrated goats. I love that card.
Dante, Pilgrim of the Burning Abyss, which was garbage and unplayable, along with Terminus.
Oh, okay. We got Beatrice is broken, but yeah, not yet.
3 material fusion spell with no cheating effects like a Miracle Fusion, and did I mention it required 3 materials just to lose to a Trishula, because while it couldn't be targeted, Trishula didn't care. On the plus side, Burning Abyss had the most villainous card ever printed, Barbar. Barbar for a game would become the default meme.
Barbar is ass. I mean, this card's not ass, but this card is so overrated.
This point onwards. Burning Abyss could summon Nightmare Shark and then Barbar their way into a win in time for 2,900 damage, rather than trying to actually interact with and outskill their opponent. You know, it's really funny writing this 10 years later. Some things never change. This was
I lost to Barbar in top 4 of YCS Toronto. After going undefeated, and then top 4 just got Barbared. It was so sad.
Around the era where the competitive viability of Cliffort Towers really picked up. Previously,
Dude, he just didn't talk about Drag Hig. Drag Hig is the fucking GOAT.
Cliffort was just a floodgate deck that kind of thrived in having lots of big monsters, and when I say big, they were kind of small, but because of skill drain, they would be boosted to their original attack. So, sacrificing all 3 of them for a towers wasn't really worth it up until now. But with all of their consistency hits, and I could say consistency mostly to the floodgates, sitting on a towers was a pretty good strategy, especially in Europe where we didn't have Diamond Crab King, a promo which was only available in North America. And because of this, Burning Abyss players even tried side decking that old school Astral Force and a Heraldry Crest to beat over the towers. We had no Kaijus, we didn't have Herald of the Abyss, not like you kids today with your plethora of board breakers. Though this was 2015. You had to really work to out a boss monster, especially the original Apocryphort Towers. For the time being, the support was fairly underwhelming, since more names provides diminishing returns. It wasn't really what Burning Abyss needed anymore.
Nah. This card was crazy. This card was nice. You just didn't mention Backjack, right? Because Backjack is like actually just one of the most important not BA cards that were released. Is he going to talk about Fiend Griefing? Oh, there's Fiend Griefing. Okay. Because Fiend Griefing is another card that came out in this set that made a huge difference. That card was really good. But like this card mattered a lot because you could put Traveler or Firelake on top of your deck. And then use Backjack. So you'd hold your Backjack and then you could pretty much search Traveler or Firelake. And that was like really good. Especially Traveler. Like if they thought you were just out of resources, and they'd kill the Drag Hig, and you had a Backjacking grave, you just go, all right, stack Traveler, Backjack, revive 5 monsters, and then they were just cooked. Drag Hig is my man's.
Already having 9 Mala branches before this, they needed more utility to deal with Nekroz, on the power level of the original Seer, Graph, and Skarm, especially now that Tour Guide had been limited. But other
Did people play Backjack before Fiend Griefing? No, it was only like 3 months in between. I don't think anyone did. But Fiend Griefing made it so much better.
than Burning Abyss cards, they did get Fiend Griefing.
Yeah, this card
a
is
normal trap
crazy.
card that was able to severely disrupt cards like Nekroz Cycle or Nekroz Mirror by forcing them to tribute things they didn't want to for a ritual summon because you're shuffling away Shuret, while also advancing your own game state by sending things like Absolute King Backjack, or sending Skarm, or more disruption by sending Farfa. The card was fine, but it wasn't really enough to make Burning Abyss the amazing
This card was
contender.
crazy! This card was like a big reason the deck became playable. What do you mean? This card was so huge. I remember watching people play BA at the 150th YCS, which is around the time this card came out. It's like the first event after its release. I scrubbed this event with Nekroz. I remember I got floodgated out 3 rounds in a row. I got absolutely destroyed because everyone's playing a billion floodgates for Nekroz. And I swore I'd never play that deck again for the NEWCQ because it'd be too heavily targeted. Then I saw people play, and I saw Fiend Reefing being used, and I'm like, holy shit, Fiend Reefing is broken. Like, this card is crazy, and people were using it wrong as well as using it too aggressively. But this card is just a fantastic card. Actually insane support. Like, the point, I wonder if BA still would have been as good as it is without this card.
Was from days gone. In the lead up to National Season, Burning Abyss would remain a generic anti-Nekroz stun deck, but in late June of 2015, a Downward Magician turbo deck claimed victory of ARG Edison. The idea behind this deck was that they wanted to go second and put up a huge board of multiple Dantes to rank up into Downward Magician, and then activate the secret village of the Spellcasters, which would mean that Nekroz would have no way to be able to conduct a ritual summon. A ritual deck without spells is pretty useless. And so it was kind of consistent, because remember, this was a period in time where terraforming was at 3. It was probably the most unique inception of Burning Abyss since its peak very early in the year. And I think this highlights
Terrible
how Burning Abyss
So like
managed
the
to
issue with
shift
this
things.
is that you only, if you do this and you're like playing versus a not Nekroz deck, you get fucking obliterated. And it's blind. You know what you're playing against. If you're in the mirror match and you do this, holy shit, you lose. You actually just get stomped. You have a non-BA on your field. Your back row's clogged, so you can't keep summoning BAs. You don't have a Dante loop set up. You just, like, actually get obliterated.
And adapt depending on what was happening around it. A pattern that would no doubt last
This was, like, a fun gimmick, but this deck was not good. Like, not good at all.
for years to come as it tries to hold on to meta viability. During the National Season, after winning
I
base...
feel like siding would have been fine. So the issue with siding it is that you didn't want to build Burning Abyss with like a heavy monster count to enable Secret Village, right? Because if you're playing with a low monster count, then if you draw a Secret Village, it might not even be live. Right? You may not be able to get to a rank 3. And that's like the problem. You're supposed to be playing it in this very trap heavy format like this. And this event is my first top here. 2015 Nats. This was awesome.
Basically every single YCS and most of its top cut spots in the year so far, Nekroz failed to take either the European or the North American WCQ. In America, the finals was a Burning Abyss mirror match. In Nekroz format, it was at the time one of the most baffling and ridiculous glitches in the Matrix for Nekroz of all decks to somehow not win even one national. And while Burning Abyss essentially did have to be played like a Floodgate anti-meta deck, it does kind of give credence to just how adaptable and versatile the cards were, and maybe using a Floodgate or two. To round off National Season, we did get the July 2015 ban list.
Good riddance, Jin!
Laval Chain and Jin, and also the limitation of Shuret. Burning Abyss and Shaddoll did not take any hits whatsoever, and so it looked like they were going to survive for another set.
Chapter 6, Clash of Rebellions, August 6th, 2015.
1 year after the release of Duel Alliance, Burning Abyss and Shaddoll were still viable despite Nekroz. Clash of Rebellions was a tough set for Burning Abyss. They had already finished their journey through the Devil May Cry franchise. Wait, hold on, let me use the original name. They had already finished their journey through Dante Alighieri's Dante's Inferno in the last booster pack, so anything in Clash of Rebellions
Didn't even try
had to be
Italian
cards that were
pronunciation.
similar to Fiend Griefing, non-archetypal support that would directly benefit the deck. Unfortunately, the powerful new Clown cards did quite the opposite. They simply boosted the power of Burning Abyss's competition, Shaddoll and Nekroz. It gave their decks more powerful
I still
white
think BA
monsters
was clearly
and
the best
rank
deck
4
here.
plays. And you know what rank 4 plays means. More Abyss Dwellers. A card that has been complained about and lauded as unreasonable even as recently as last year. Something
Yeah,
really
fuck this
do never
card.
change. Regardless, for the first major YCS of the new set at YCN's Toronto, Gabriel Orizenvine took first place with Burning Abyss. I told you to get used to this, didn't I?
Yeah,
this
third.
shit was still not only topping, but winning events despite its
Fuck, man, I lost to him in top 4 because I misplayed. Well, not that I misplayed. He misplayed. And this is just not his list, by the way. This is just not his list, I'm pretty sure. There's no way he just didn't play Backjack. That's criminal not playing Backjack. There's no way that's his list. And I'm pretty sure he played Backjack. But either way, like... No Traveler? Yeah, Traveler was in his list as well. Yeah, this is just not his list. But... yeah, no, I made a mistake in top... I think in top 4, he made a mistake. Or I think it was... No, so it was Backjack. He used Backjack. And then... so it was like he uses Backjack, and then he decided... and then Scar went to Grave. And then in the end phase, didn't use the Backjack to mill the top card, or use Scar and just drew for turn. And I couldn't understand what he was doing. He later told me that he just fucked up and forgot to use his effects. But I started playing around random shit that I didn't think was possible to exist. And I was able to win the game, but it took me so much longer than it should have. And in game 3, there's like, went the time. He went to the roll to go first. He goes Dante, Mill, Barbar, set, pass, flip, emptiness. And I just lost 900 life points and I couldn't play under emptiness, so I lost. You side so no. The only reason you side Maxi in this format in BA is against Nekroz. So an important part of this format is Nekroz Trishula has to manage a card from the hand, field, and graveyard. So in BA, your game plan was to make sure you always had 0 cards in hand at all time, because then they couldn't use Nekroz or Trishula. Or if they were going to summon Trishula, what you do is you chain a discard trap like Geki Break, Wing Blast, or Karmic Cut, and then you have 0 cards in hand on resolution. And Maxi is counterintuitive to that game plan. That being said, Maxi is good versus every other matchup. It's just Nekroz, which was the most popular deck at the time. You did not want Maxi against, so you didn't main deck it.
Shadal's getting some very, very sick clown support, and Nekroz still being pretty powerful despite the second ban list, and also utilizing the new clowns. Now, the decks were still trying to replicate the success of Noah Green at the North American WCQ by relying on the synergies of the same old kind of trap cards. The following month in the Megatons, Nekroz and Shadal now got to play around with instant fusion with the release of
Norden. This was big.
A 1-card rank 4 that could bring
still
back
be a best deck
for more Abyss Dwellers. After the release of Norden, the next major event was YCS Dallas in October 2015.
Well, it's High Speed Riders as well.
Was somehow Infernoids by Eric Christensen. Yes, in a format where Shadals were as close as they would ever be to full power, Nekroz and Burning Abyss having snowball success, Infernoid won the event. I don't think Eric himself knows how he managed to win an event in that format with Infernoids, but that's Yu-Gi-Oh! Taking the natural inherent graveyard disruption.
So the reason why this matters, so High Speed Riders not being mentioned is almost criminal, because this set does not talk about it. He doesn't talk about it. Oh, Terratop. Yeah, okay. Terratop comes out in High Speed Riders. This also introduced Cyframe Lord Omega, which is why this deck is playable. He played like a bunch of level 4 tuners, level 4 extenders. You make Omega, and rip their hand with double Omega, and then get constant follow up with Infernoids. So yeah, and then people also didn't know how to play against this deck yet because it hadn't been a meta yet. And Infernoids is a very interesting deck where it really punishes players or really rewards players who know how to play against Infernoid properly. And at the time that wasn't really a known thing. So yeah, I think this ended up being like a Prankins type of good call, where the deck was fine and had some decent matchups, got some new support, but then also its lack of matchup awareness made it a good target, a good threat. But yeah, it was never going to be good. What was the reason Gamma didn't see play? I'm pretty sure Gamma did see play at this event, some small degrees. Just there wasn't a great target against BA. Nekroz wasn't a single great target either. I think Nekroz was fine, but yeah, I mean Gamma was some play a little bit, I think.
Perhaps it was finally time for an anti-meta deck of sorts to shine, since a quick play DD Crow was powerful against all 3 of the decks. But still, surprisingly at YCS Dallas, there was a very mixed meta of Shadal's, Nekroz, BA, and we even saw some pure clowns. Notable Burning Abyss pilots like Deception and Cody Angeloff managed to take more spots than Shadal's, a total of 6 despite the clown support and Norden. In hindsight, it really is bizarre that something as absurd as Norden was not somehow carrying every non-Burning Abyss deck to victory. Again, the issue is that while as good as Shadal is, and as high of a ceiling and as crazy of a combo it can do, you still need to draw Light Monster, Fusion Spell, Shadal. That's just a 3-card combo you need to draw every hand. That's just going to happen less often than 2 level 3s. Now, a final thing to mention here on the same weekend was the release of Speedroid Terrortop, also known as Terrortop Autotop, which would become a staple in the deck for the future. However, for this event, surprisingly none of the recorded Burning Abyss tops played this engine. People were most likely too afraid of having your Terrortop be negated, and then...
So you were just still playing the trap version. In the trap version, you don't want this card. You yeah, in versions where you're more reliant on the Dante and Milling 3 and combo based, this card's insane. But in a trap deck, I wouldn't play this. Like if I rebuilt the trap version in modern day Master Duel, I probably still would not play Terratop in the deck.
Because of the Burning Abyss Xenolock, essentially have no follow-up.
Chapter 7, Dimension of Chaos, November 5th,
this
2015.
Was a bit rough.
The November 2015 ban list is one of the most severe and drastic lists ever. Nekroz lost Shuret, and arguably Exciton Knight as well, since the deck was very much in tune, was using the rank 4 toolbox. Bryanak and Unicore were also limited, and Rota was also limited. Shadal's lost El Shadal Construct.
So we just didn't mention the YCS, the Cosmo
deck.
one.
They even had El Shadal Fusion limited to 1. Clifforts also had Apocalyphort Towers banned. Now, Burning Abyss did not go without casualties either, with Seer being limited to 2 and Graph being limited to 1. But while the other decks were completely killed off...
What's the most iconic version of BA in my opinion? For you, it's PK Fire. For me, I'd say it's the Trapless BA deck like Hoban won with. It's around the release of like Fire Lake to Farfa, so Next Challengers and Secrets of Eternity.
Seer to 2 and Graph to 1 just meant that the deck could no longer rely on milling consistently well as a strategy. And so as long as Graf remained at 1, there would always be a powerful target for Torguide from the underworld, and as long as Seer remained at 1, Dante could always be brought back. So while on paper it was a severe ban list for Burning Abyss, the deck would be very playable for another year. The November 2015 ban list was so pivotal and monumental for the whole of Yu-Gi-Oh! In general. Not only did it permanently annihilate Nekroz, it was the ban list that effectively saw the end of the original triangle between Clifford, Shaddoll, and Burning Abyss. The decks had changed their structures over the course of their support, but the rivalry between the big three was always there throughout all of the different sets, formats, and ban lists that shaped
and became a lot more
throughout this whole
Cosmo.
period. While Dante got to survive and live on from
And then
November
Mad Spectre also
2015,
came out,
the
which was
original
rough,
rivalry
rough
of Burning Abyss
for
and Shaddoll
EA. All
would
the
never be what it
non-targeting
once
stuff.
was ever again with the banning of Construct. The bond that Shaddoll's and Burning Abyss shared was now gone forever. Real Madrid, Barcelona, Yankees, Red Sox, Argentina, Brazil. It was just iconic how much these decks meant to each other's communities. While nothing could ever replace Shaddoll as the arch nemesis, we would get something that was almost as frustrating as Winda. Dimension of Chaos saw the inception of Cosmo Dark Destroyer. Cosmo Dark Destroyer was
So
the
honestly, this card wasn't like the craziest. Nah, fuck this. The card that was a problem in the set is Kieran. Fuck that card. Kieran is cancer.
particularly decks that rely on beating over things.
This and Cosmojo were annoying, but they weren't the real problem.
Dark Destroyer did neither, and it floated into another untargetable floater bigger than 2500.
These were manageable.
Cosmo Dark
It was the
Destroyer
fucking
a almost
Kieran.
format
Holy
warping
shit.
card. You see, this was 2015, 9 years ago. 9 years prior to the release of Daruma Cannon, Boral Sword, Underworld Goddess, an untargetable 3k monster was just relentless because it summoned more Cosmos and destroyed your field in the process. Cosmo would become a relatively popular contender at some point throughout the coming season. As the events came in one after the other, Burning Abyss was in a sort of drought. The deck was effectively off the radar with Dark Destroyer and also Magispector Kirin, a card that cannot be destroyed.
Yeah,
or
that's the
targeted.
real bane of BA's existence. Holy shit, the amount of times I've lost. Like, I probably, as a BA player, I probably lost to this single card more than any other card ever. This and maybe Ghost Reaper Winter Cherries. Holy shit, Kieran is toxic.
And constantly returns with each pendulum summon. If you thought
I've been banned from Shift's chat. What, is he streaming or something, or is it just a joke? Yeah, it's just a joke, okay.
Stealth and Construct were worthy rivals,
fucking
Burning
hate
Abyss
this
now
card
has to
so
deal with
much.
Kirin and Dark Destroyer in the same format. And remember, this was pre-Master Rule 4. This is
Like, I know that Kieran's not playable nowadays, but I still have so much PTSD from Kieran. Actually, just it's incredible how much I hate it.
full power pendulum. This is soul charge for 5 every turn. And somehow miraculously, if you got through the compulsory evacuation device that is Kirin on Dante by making a second Dante to attack over it, well, next turn they summon it right back for free at no cost, and as long as they have 2 scales on the field. And with 4 other monsters from the extra deck. Every single turn. There's a reason Pendulum was just ripped apart as a mechanic years later. But just when you thought you could write Dante off because of some dumb Darth Vader spaceship wannabe Death Star that loses to System Down, Burning Abyss did get 2 tops at YCS San Jose after Dimension of Chaos went live. Piloted by Alex Juneja and Norberto Leon, both of their deck lists were extremely similar and played over 20 trap cards, with 3
Yay,
Traveler of the Burning
yay.
Abyss. Finally, that card was seeing play, and even Fire Lake again. Must have dodged a lot of Cosmo matchups for that one, by the way.
Chapter 8, Breakers of Shadow, January 14th, 2016.
In January 2016, Breaker of Shadows brought about Pepe, the strongest deck in the
This was a
history of
rough time
Yu-Gi-Oh!
for
And
BA.
I think I've said that every single
It's
year
not
in this
playable
video,
this
haven't I?
period.
Yu-Gi-Oh's power creep really should be studied. Monarchs were now part of the meta with the release of the Emperor of Darkness structure.
Monarchs are
This was
unplayable.
also the set where Burning Abyss received their first indirect support card in a long time. Fiendish Rhino Warrior. Fiendish Rhino Warrior now allowed you to not auto-scoop to Ojama Trio, and it gave your deck more versatility and consistency. But while Fiendish Rhino Warrior was a genuinely good card, it was obviously incomparable at the time to full power Pepe. Not only did Burning Abyss have to deal with Cosmo Dark
The actual
Destroyer,
support comes
it had
in the
to deal
next
with
set,
its
Wing
ridiculous
Raiders.
Pendulum deck, and further than that, Stormforth Erebus, which had a searchable Vanity's Emptiness in the form of Domain of the True Monarchs. But you see, not all hope was lost. While BA was completely relegated to being a rogue deck, temporarily, in February 2016, Wing Raiders dropped a whole new archetype
set's awesome.
called Phantom Knights. Phantom Knights would later become
I remember-
incredibly incremental.
I think
to the
Jeff
deck
topped with
strategy.
not BAPK, it was just pure Phantom Knights at the UDS. And I remember playing that deck afterwards thinking, man, this deck is fucking awesome. It reminded me of BA. That deck was sick. And then Beaches came out, and we started all playing BAPK. That deck was so cool, man. I loved that. I played that for the rest of the format. Whew.
While many people debated whether or not they were worth playing, as they were just quite lackluster in the hand to draw, and with Allure of Darkness only at 1 copy, they didn't really seem reliable in the hands of Burning Abyss because of the important Xenolock. As you can expect, the deck did basically nothing in full power Pepe format, aside from a few regional tops, until the emergency ban list. Thankfully, full power Pepe only lasted 1 event at maximum power, so I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to call 13 days of format. In late February 2016, Valens Letout, who won last year in Nekroz format with Burning Abyss, this year went and got 3rd place again with Burning Abyss. Yep, same guy, same deck, same city. In March 2016, the last major top of Burning Abyss before Infinite Gold was top 4 by Renell Williams, the only Burning Abyss player in top cut at
still playing BAPK. I didn't realize this deck was played like that.
Aforementioned Phantom Knights, and also running
I forgot we're all playing Massacre
4
Strict.
Solemns and 3 anti-spell fragrance. It was a full-blown anti-pendulum brew of Burning Abyss. And as mentioned, Burning Abyss having synergies and adaptations for almost 2 years now, proving how versatile the Swiss Army knife of a deck it could be, you know, because it could run lots of different floodgates. Anyway.
Chapter 9. Premium Gold, Infinite Gold.
This is not even correct, Farfa. Like, it is not about the floodgates. The deck is very versatile. Its ability to float means you can play with Monarchs, you can play with discard engines, you can play it as an aggressive rank 3 deck, you get the mill cards. It has so many different aspects to it. What a fake BA fan calling it because of floodgates. Doesn't even know how his own favorite deck works. Actually just crazy. The deck is catching strays from him of all people.
March 17th, 2016.
When Beatrice was imported to the TCG in
I thought that.
Fuck this card, but I love this card. Holy shit, I wish this card would get errated. This card's gonna get banned. This card is going to get banned. But I wish they just errata it and like remove the generic part of its ability. Because in BA, this is one of the coolest cards ever. God damn it, I hate this card is about to get banned. It's so broken by now, by modern standards now.
March 2016, the collective Burning Abyss player base were set on fire. This also meant now that Gay Dante was relevant after being a binder war.
There's no way he said Gay Dante.
Beatrice could get her effect when she was Solemn Warninged, which many people learned the hard way what the difference between the terms possession and control is. Solemn Strike, while not that good against Burning Abyss, was still kind of annoying, but to have almost complete immunity against it if you summoned Beatrice was a huge bonus. Especially since Pilgrim Dante was a good card, it was just impossible to summon. Now, Beatrice could get it for free. You could crash her after you've used your 2 materials, or your opponent would just simply be forced to deal with it because they just didn't have a lot of destructive removal at the time. This card alone propelled Burning Abyss from a somewhat lackluster choice to the very center of the metagame again. This time, in a format against Pendulum, Monarchs, and Cosmo. Beatrice
Pendulum really wasn't that popular, but the deck was his worst matchup.
Like Farfa, Alich, and Duel Dragon, and you could also send other cards to further your plays, like Interrupted Kaiju Slumber
card is terrible.
Search and Out to Dark Destroyer, and even Skarm to search Tour Guide from the Underworld. It was around this time at ARG Detroit that the Burning Abyss community blew up again by combining Burning Abyss and Phantom Knights together to create the ridiculous mess.
I'm never going to mention BA Monarch. So around this time as well, people started playing Burning Abyss with Monarch cards. That deck was fun, and it had a decent power level, but it was fucking terrible. It was just so inconsistent, and the cards didn't work together that well. But when it started firing all cylinders, that deck was very strong. Fun deck, not good.
Annoyingly be known as PK Fire. While people had already played it before, like Renell Williams at Vegas, it was further popularized at this event. Despite the contradictions of having 2 different archetypes, the Phantom Knights were a 3-axis deck similar to Burning Abyss, and since Dante was generic needing just any level 3s, well, the Phantom Knights could be summoned to make Dante or milled, get more advantage, and even search Fogblade. People initially scoffed at the idea of searching Fiendish Chain in 2016 because, you know, power creep, but a Fiendish Chain that's searchable...
You don't get how people didn't break with BA Monarchs? Neither did I. So I was going to play it for National 2016 because I thought the power level would just be needed. And then Dale Bolito talked me out of it. He said, it's too bricky. You're very good with BAPK. Just play BAPK. Like, I was very good in the mirror match. And like, I felt comfortable. Although I hadn't played it in like a month or something because I've been testing BA Monarchs. And he talked me off the ledge. And I'm very thankful for that. Because, like, obviously I should have gone to Worlds if I just didn't choke that last match.
That could also be used as Monster Reborn for the grind game, it actually was pretty good. In April 2016 at YCS Houston, a few Burning Abyss players did manage to top, and the vast majority of them were running Phantom Knights and Terratops. And there was also a random Sky Scourge Burning Abyss deck in there too, piloted by Jesse Flores. Norleras BA was kind of a funny gimmick deck that even DZ...
Dude, Taka Tomborg is psychotic, but sure.
Try to make viable. It was a weird concoction that essentially would have Dark Fiends and a Light Fairy, like Beatrice, to help facilitate the summon of Norleras, looping both players and the whole field, but since your guys have graveyard effects, you would essentially be ahead. And I guess if you didn't draw away to Norleras, you were just playing PK Fire, which, as we've established, was just a good deck. As I said before, Burning Abyss could synergize with anything at all if you really try hard enough. After YCS
Speed recovery, yeah, people like that crap. That card is terrible though.
Dropped, banning much of the overpowered Pepe cards, but also furthering Draco Paul's
Oh right, so I guess there were no events for me because I didn't travel as much back then. That in between period while Pendulum was still powerful, while NBA BK was still played, is kind of like non-existent in my head. Because I'm thinking of after this ban list as far as PK Fire goes.
By limiting important combo pieces like Draco Face-Off and the main anti-Cosmo card, Ignister. For all intents and purposes, this basically made Draco Pal specifically unplayable, at least for now. Burning Abyss was also slightly boosted by upping Allure of Darkness to 2. Now I don't want Burning Abyss to get hit. I like Burning Abyss, clearly, but I will say it is almost conspiratorial how lenient Konami have been with the deck. I mean, they were letting this deck stick around for just over 2 seasons. That is a long time to not just be relevant, but a YCS-capable winning deck. Remember, Shaddolls were dead, like dead. Clifford was inconsistent to be really relevant. Burning Abyss would get more tops during this year and this season cycle than it ever did in 2014. Admittedly, 2014, it started in August for Burning Abyss, but just to give you some context, even numerically, it was raking in the tops this entire year. Again, almost 2 years after its creation. And this was
God love BA.
and the Phantom Knights.
Chapter 10, Shining Victories, May 5th, 2016.
The worst card ever. Oh no, Ghost Reaper. I've lost so many games to Ghost Reaper with the BA. It's actually the only... I hate that card so much. Oh my god. The amount of times I've lost in BA and like against opponents who I feel like I should always beat because they Reaper me 2 out of 3 games. Fucking flip. It's actually so toxic. So it knocked me out of what top cut of top 16 Oasis Toronto this year.
Set greatly boosted the power of one of the 2 main rivals of Burning Abyss, Cosmo. Cosmo now had a lot of crazy first turn combos now with nothing but a Fire King Island and any ship. But
this deck was terrible.
Cosmo card until popularized later was a variant called Cosmo Demise. Yes,
this deck was good.
Demise.
This deck was good.
You see, people thought Cosmo
worse than BA,
had
but it was
to be a
good.
combo deck. It had to be special summoning ships, blowing them up, making a crazy board. But Card of Demise at 3 and Pot of Duality meant that all you had to do was draw Tin Can, some trap cards, and then summon all of your ships on your opponent's turn instead. By playing 3 Call of the Haunted and 3 Oasis Dragon Souls, suddenly, drawing 3 cards every turn was kind of worth the sacrifice of not being able to combo. So Cosmo players were split between which variant was the best, and both were really tough for Burning Abyss. Despite all the crazy stuff Cosmo
So
could do.
that's actually like false. If you play BAPK properly, this matchup was not hard. Cosmo Demise was the harder one because if they drew like Chaos Trap Holes and stuff, it can be a little awkward. But the matchup wasn't that bad. Cosmojo is obviously way harder to deal with as well, and the trap version would play more of those. But the BA and the Fire King version was dog shit. That was an easy matchup. That deck was not hard at all to beat. Like F-Zero is your best friend in this matchup, and you start just hitting the back rows and stuff. And you make large attacks, Phantom Knights that attack over the monsters to push for game. Like with Break Sword, getting the bonus attack from Ragged Gloves and Ancient Cloak, or Dark Rebellion and Sea Dragon. So this wasn't actually a hard matchup. As well as post side, it became incredibly easy. The second you saw a system down type card, you win the game on the spot. So, I mean, I don't think Cosmo was favored against BA at all. In fact, I think like the Demise Cosmo deck was okay, but like the Fire King Cosmo deck was just unplayable, like actually unplayable into this matchup. If they made Cyber Dragon Infinity, you did not give a shit. It was one fucking negate.
Burning Abyss was still able to put a Kaiju over whatever they summoned and attack for low enough life points to win in time with Barbar and Nightmare Shark. As an absolute desperate play, you could also combine 2 Dantes to make F-Zero.
This wasn't desperate at all. 2 Dantes, if you've seen anything from Seer so far, isn't a high commitment. You don't care.
Original material that during
also Levier was a card back then. Like Levier with the Phantom Knight cards meant you could make F-Zero like incredibly easy. It was not like a big commitment.
Feels an untargetable monster. Fire King Cosmo was the new cool way to play the deck, and it was definitely rising in popularity. But by siding System down, it really hurt the Demise version of the deck, so there was still some tools available. Now, an important card released in this set was Ghost Reaper and Winter Fairies, a card that could completely destroy your deck. If your opponent dropped this on you turn 1, you were completely screwed 90% of the time. But the thing is, after turn 1, if you didn't open it, it wasn't that good because you could still bring back Dante and rank it up into Beatrice. Now, despite how good this card was on paper, banishing all Dantes, at the end of May, Timid Zaman picked up a format-defining win at YCS Providence. He piloted a PK Fire list that would go on to become the standard and staple build for months.
Yeah, my deck was very
Burning
similar to
Abyss
this.
is still winning YCSs almost 2 years after its release. This also main deck 3 copies of Twin.
Not playing Reaper is really crazy. Like you maining it's not right because it's only good in the mirror, but not siding Reaper is definitely an oversight.
also recently released card. Because of how good back row was getting, Domain of the Monarchs, Pendulum Scales, Twin Twisters discarding a BA was such a premium play to stop your opponent from bringing back
Twin
Cosmo
Twister is
ships
my
and hitting
that's
solemn
my
strikes,
favorite.
while also using the graveyard
Twin and
effect of
Econ
whatever
are
you
some of my
discard.
favorite
In
cards.
June, the following month was YCS Origins. PK Fire took
Drowning Mirror Force was so troll. I remember I knew it was in my friend's Nikki's deck, and we drove down to Nats together. We played like round 10 or 11 of the WCQ. They're both X1, didn't matter. He fucking sets a card. I'm like, I know that's a fucking Mirror Force. He was maining, storming, and drowning. Just played around with it and no TK'd him. I was like, damn, didn't work on you. It worked on everyone else.
took the victory again. Another YCS win for Burning Abyss. Here, we also got to see an interesting new take on the deck as well. Burning Abyss Monarchs was piloted by Darren Stevenson all the way to top 16.
Terrible
the deck
deck.
could put up Burning Abyss cards on turn
I
1.
love Darren, but
milling
terrible
either
deck.
more BA cards or Pantheisms, and then you could set
Siding
yourself up-
Maxi is so terrible in this format as well. This is not a good decision. Like, people say, look, Side Maxi, like, this deck card's not that good. No, this was a very dumb decision on Darren's behalf. Like, in this format, it is a staple main deck card. And it should be in his main. He just built his deck with so much garbage, like random cards stuffed together, that it doesn't have space. It's hiding 4 extra deck cards.
from Monarch plays on your opponent's turn. Again, I cannot express enough just how good BA was at being splashed into other decks. You had to anyway because of the limitations on Graph and Tour Guide. So players really did experiment and find creative ways to make the deck viable. For the national season of 2016, it felt like it was
Fuck it. Okay, oh no, he didn't. He didn't include the. Okay, I wonder if he'll include the match where I swap things. Okay, he didn't. This is. I do lose this match, but this isn't the match where I swap decks. He did include me. I guess you can't see my name there because my face covers it, but that's me there. I get my ass kicked in top 8 of WCQ. Oh, Farfa.
2015. This time, instead of Nekroz being the meta and Burning Abyss being the meta call, the meta was now PK Fire, and the meta call was Domain Monarch, piloted by Eric Christensen to first place of the North American WCQ. Yes, that same Eric Christensen that won YCS Dallas with Infernoid. Domain,
Siding
of course,
Maxi is
a
so
search for vanity's
terrible.
Emptiness was a thorn in the side for Burning Abyss, and basically any deck, making it a pretty valid meta call.
He wouldn't
since
do that
at
to
the
me. He knows the story. He mentioned it on the Konami stream at the European WCQ like 2 weeks ago. He definitely would do that.
time, most players were playing extra deck Monarchs, because the deck just had super good synergies with things like Brilliant Fusion. But why bother with all that when you can just slap together 3 structure decks, and then floodgate your opponent out with Domain? In Europe, Magispectors, a deck that cannot be destroyed or targeted, was victorious. And we also saw the rise of Oddai's Performapal in Top Cut of Euros 2016 by Joshua Schmidt. He saw this meta of PK Fire as a chance to play a deck that ran 6 copies of Kirin. In hindsight, that Pendulum deck was unwinnable for Burning Abyss. Sky Iris provided
Yeah, it's like a really bad matchup. In order to deal with it, I started siding Lecter Pendulum, which is pretty much skill drain for pendulums. If you're not familiar with it, let me show you. Or not. Oh, there we go. Lecter Pendulum. This card. Negate the, so you place in the pen scale and negate the effects of face-up pendulum monsters where your opponent controls them. So I just activate this and then I'd beat their Kirin. But this is what was required pretty much.
Kirin, once that hit the board, it was game over. The deck could also search Oddai's Fusion, which could summon Oddai's Vortex Dragon going second for free, protect your scales, bounce your Beatrice, and then negate your cards. Burning Abyss players at the time were very lucky this deck was not well known, and was only really kind of under wraps for Team Complexity card gaming at the time. Oh, and also this one idiot came second at UK Nationals with Pure BA. Pure, by the way, not PK Fire. Oh my god, are we almost done? Fuck me, it's been an hour.
Chapter 11, The Dark Illusion.
Why is he complaining? He wrote the script.
August 4th, 2016.
Dark Illusion brought out Pot of Desires as probably the only noteworthy card for Burning Abyss, but it was a powerful card.
What? Farfa, I hate you. Chat, tell me right now what other important card came in Dark Illusions. If you get this wrong, you might be kicked from the chat. No cheating. Come on, fast, go. Snow. Yeah, fuck. That better be mentioned, like, right now. Block Dragon. Fairy. Tail. Snow. This was absolutely the most important BA card in this. What the fuck? I only didn't play it because it was only good in the mirror. And I felt like it was good enough in the mirror. But this card is crazy. Holy shit. I opened up quite a lot of the set because I kept winning boxes. I made good money. This set was awesome. Spiral cards, Paleo cards, Plug-A Trap Hole. Oh, excuse me. Very good set. Midbreaker Field, Desires, Cosmic Cyclone, Metalfoes cards. This was a really good set. Coral Dragon, Snow, Block Dragon. Fantastic set. Fantastic set. This has to be a joke, right? He has to mention Snow. No, he doesn't mention Snow. I have to disown Farfa. All right.
Nonetheless, many argued that banishing your one-of Takatomborg, Tour Guide, Graph, or Seer was not worth running. Despite this, many Burning Abyss decks topped and had been successful.
I didn't play it. I don't think you needed it. I think it was bad. But yeah.
Back then really just didn't understand how good drawing 2 cards was, even if it meant sacrificing 10 random cards.
I thought Desire was a good card. I played in my zombie deck. Like I had a Shirinui Omega like Snow Desires deck with Minerva. That deck was awesome with Soul Charge. It's only 40 cards because Grass wasn't out yet. I think it's still on Team Sam's channel when I played Desires in that, but not in NBA.
Off the top, because even if you do hit your one of Seer or other pieces, PK Fire just had so many tools available to it now, especially with Beatrice, that having that early card advantage was just worth it. Dark Illusion also saw the introduction of Metalfoes and Paleozoic. At YCS Toronto 2016, there were still numerous Burning Abyss tops, and quite a few of them were deep top.
I fucking lost this match. Double cherries.
In top 16. In top 8, there was Patrick James. And of course, the winner of this whole event was Bodin Temnik, running, you guessed it, Burning Abyss. As a note, about half of the Burning Abyss tops ran Pot of Desires. This was a solid performance for a deck contending with 3 Kirin in the format, by the way. For some reason, people didn't really catch on to that Odd Eyes deck. On August 29th, for a ban list to occur in 2016, exactly 2 years after the first Burning Abyss cards were printed, you would expect Konami to obliterate the deck. Finally, a year after its original arch nemesis,
nope, just Beatrice the one.
Destroyed. But basically nothing.
Oh, it's Serum to one, right?
Some way, some inside job type of reasoning, Burning Abyss survived. Again, another ban list. For a lot of
the problem is now Metalfoes becomes playable, and it's kind of scuffed.
Players, this was getting genuinely frustrating. How is it that this deck just will not die? The community either loved this or hated it, as you can imagine, and it became a really divisive part of the discourse. Now, it's not like Burning Abyss was dominating this period of time. No, but it was winning major events. Winning. 2 years after its release. No one can really explain why Burning Abyss was allowed to survive for so long. You can imagine just how salty this made ex-Shaddoll players. Why did their deck have to die, but Burning Abyss got stronger somehow? Burning Abyss got more tops in 2016 than it did in 2014.
He sounds mad that BA is doing well. Dude, Farfa's actually the fakest BA fan. The end of the video is going to be like, actually, I hate BA.
And people were not happy with the blind eye Konami kept turning towards Burning Abyss. Monarchs and the blood-boiling, annoying Stormforth were hit, along with Dark Destroyer. Burning Abyss, of course, did take a hit as well, but nowhere near a severe one. Beatrice to 1. A cosmetic hit. A single Beatrice.
No. This mattered. This mattered quite a bit, but it definitely wasn't like the end of the world.
Functional. And Seer being limited to 1 made no difference to it being at 2, since the Seer loop was still there. Allure even got bumped to 3, meaning you had even more ways to cycle dead Phantom Knights out of your hand. This ban list kind of took away some longevity by limiting your Beatrice, but you only needed 1, and Burning Abyss somehow got more consistent with the 3rd Allure. The following 2 YCSs, Minneapolis and Mexico City, were won by Metalfoes. Almost unsurprisingly, because even though Kirin was limited to 1 as well, it was still accompanied by 3 Bumbuku. These events saw a very diverse mix in the meta. Perhaps the most diverse meta Burning Abyss has ever participated in. There were all kinds of decks topping these events. Blue Eyes, Metalfoes, Magispectors, Infernoid, Mermel, and Lightsworn.
And then ABC
was still in the metagame.
Chapter 12, Structure Deck Seto Kaiba
Okay, here it is.
Invasion Vengeance, October 20th, 2016.
This was
On
a
October
not
20th,
good matchup.
2016,
You needed
ABC
system
was
down.
introduced. Buster Dragon proved to be another painful boss monster that Burning Abyss had to deal with, but it was not a challenge that Burning Abyss had never seen before. From Winda, to Unicorn, to Cliffort Towers, to Dart Destroyer, and now Buster Dragon, Dante did find ways to deal with all of them. And a week later, Thomas Rose found a way to overcome that challenge by winning YCS Liverpool 2016 with Burning fucking Abyss.
Really?
It
Was
would
it-
appear that
I
Burning
thought
Abyss
it was
has this
earlier his
weird
win.
and stupid habit of winning events it has no business even making top cut in. But here we are. Thomas Rose played cards specifically designed to destroy ABC, like Triple Chaos Hunter, Triple Ghost Reaper, yeah, and maybe
Ghost
a floodgate
Reaper's
like
nice.
Vanity Fiend. On November
Why
3rd,
isn't he making
2016,
Maxi?
The power of the new
What-
decks grew. Metal foes receive such support as Alcahest. This would be a quick play steal effect, which, as you can imagine, anything non-graveyard related for Burning Abyss is going to be annoying. Paleozoics also became mixed together with frogs to create a stun deck. that
Paleo
even
wasn't
Dante
out
could
until
be
Invasion
impressed with.
Vengeance.
But
Let's
above
just
all,
mention
we
that.
saw one of the strongest trap cards ever printed. Dimensional Barrier. It was one thing to deal with Kirin, Toad, and Blue Eyes monsters that can't be targeted or destroyed, but to not be able to play your deck was a whole other story. Of course, Dimensional Barrier affected everyone in every deck, but it was just yet another problem to deal with while playing Burning Abyss. But while the triangle of Paleo, Metal Foes, and ABC was going and raging at full power, at YCS Bochum in 2016, Burning Abyss was piloted yet again to a top 16 finish by Fotis Papadolakis. The resilience of Burning Abyss must be commended, for no matter how many times Dante was knocked down, somehow, some way, there was a way to keep
Got back
topping
up.
events there was no business topping.
Chapter 13, Raging Tempest, February 9th, 2017.
Raging Tempest saw the
Bye-bye.
introduction of yet another contender for possible best deck of all time. Burning Abyss has had to live through the new best deck of all time every year since its creation. Near the end of February at YCS
ZooBA.
Seattle, a 60
Yeah.
card Burning
I played ZooBA. I also played BA Goki because of Invoker. He was making Invoker, but his shit was terrible, obviously.
This deck managed to make top cut in Zoo format. It ran 60 cards. That grass looks greener. A Fairy Tale Snow to send with Beatrice, and 3 Vanities Fiends with pretty much the maximum number copies of every Burning Abyss ever printed. And then, in the following month at YCS Atlanta, in March 2017, Tyler Allen piloted the Burning Abyss Shadol Zodiac to top 32. Almost poetically,
That
Burning
is
Abyss
fucking
was played
crazy.
alongside Shadol yet again. This time, used for making things like Shekanaga or Winda, because Shadol Fusion is just such a sick-going second card. Zodiac was so dominant and so powerful, it took 32 out of 32 top cut spots for one of the YCSs during this period. And then, later that year, we got Master Rule 4. Let me just play the original clip for you.
Master Rule 4, for all intents and purposes, the nail in the coffin of Burning Abyss. The deck, at the premier event level, may just be completely done and dusted forever.
Idiot. Why would he think that, actually? I don't think I ever thought that at the time. BA is like the perfect link deck because you get to revive things from the graveyard with Seer, and like it doesn't lock you out of like your EMZ back then was, yes, you had to summon your Exceeds there, but like the reviving Dante and Virgils from the grave would have been pretty like easy to use. I don't think this at all would have spelled the end of BA if I had to guess. You just needed support.
Yeah, that's what the original documentary said. Oh my god, I have never been so fucking wrong about anything.
Yes, you have, and you will be again. The Farfish is making me mad today.
Ever, have I? I notoriously have very good takes that never age badly.
Chapter 14, The Firewall Era, 2018.
Not much has changed since 2017, with the 2018 meta being ran over with absolutely insane decks from Spiral through to Pend FTK or True Draco with Masterpiece, all the way to Striker, Goki, Dark World FTK, and Dante's new emesis, Altergeist Sequoitus. Yeah, they just reprinted Kirin. It's no surprise that Burning Abyss did basically nothing for this period. Sure, it may have managed the sporadic top here and there, but it could be attributed to luck and persistence of pet deckers and not really the power of BA itself. Remember, BA was a meta deck for 3 years. It created a massive following and community. A lot of those players since quit the game. Some of you watching this now might have been like 12 years old at the time and won't really be familiar with the community, the culture, the fan base that Duelist Alliance created. For me personally and others likewise, Duelist Alliance to Master Rule 4 was the golden age of Yu-Gi-Oh! We saw a huge array of different types of win conditions, strategies, mostly interactive games, with some of the most iconic themes ever. This was a period in time where Blue Eyes won worlds, where social media boomed, and deck profiles, combo guides, Facebook archetypes groups grew, and the NA-EU divide crossed over between players as we all became more interconnected as a community. That period of time, Yu-Gi-Oh! Grew like never before, and so for a lot of older duelists like myself, it was the best it would get. With the release of Flames of Destruction on May 4th, 2018, Burning Abyss got new extra deck tools their monsters could actually be used for in Nightmares. But it also
Yeah, see,
got
this was
one
the
of
thing,
most
right? Like, and this is why BA had potential as a link deck. You just needed generic link monsters. So once it got those link monsters, it became somewhat playable, even if it wasn't great. Now, I like BA, and I think BA was like a cool deck, but in this period, BA was just a gimmick. It was like a fine fringe rogue deck, but I think people really blew out of proportion its playability.
Powerful spell cards ever made. Sekka's Light. That card was so good. Not only did it let you draw 2 cards, it also let you mulligan back a monster. You could put back things like Taket Tomborg or Libich. It came at the cost of not being able to activate any other spells or traps during the whole duel, but it didn't matter for Burning Abyss, a deck that could be built entirely with just monster cards like Gallus and Dangers. And so, since the legacy of the Burning Abyss video originally ended, Thomas Rose rekindled hope for the BA fanbase. A year later, in 2018, at the United Kingdom's National Championship, in a field of Goki and Sky Striker, Thomas Rose won the entire event with Burning Abyss. Nobody saw this coming. Nobody could have imagined that in Link format, that Burning Abyss could thrive. Remember, this was the pre-2020 Master Rules, meaning you could only summon an extra deck monster into the extra monster zone. Some of you might not know this if you only started playing recently, but between 2017 and 2020,
like this play is like, it's so fluid, like it's not even that complicated to see.
Zone created by a Link monster. Basically, everything had to follow the Link rules. So naturally, that's why the original Legacy video ended so dramatically and abruptly. Because why would Burning Abyss ever be able to compete in an ever-growing power-crept meta with things like Electromite and Firewall, if we could even just control one Beatrice? Somehow, despite this, Thomas Rose utilized Rescue Cat to make Naturia Beast with Gallus, and also ran Blackluster Soldier, a tech card that sometimes saw play in Burning Abyss in like 2014. Watching that deck win...
Yeah, I mean, I played BA by 2016 BA deck, and BA PK. Yeah, still.
Was all that was needed for BA to be looked at again for a short period of time. We then went on to get 4 Burning Abyss top cut spots at the European WCQ, and somehow it managed to win the 200th YCS in Mexico City at the hands of Andres Torres, and it finished 2nd place at the same weekend at YCS Utrecht with the help of Dean Kabui. While Torres' build was more in line of what was played before, utilizing BLS and Gallus, it also played Destiny Hero Malicious and Fabled Solkius to try and hard summon Beatrice. Dean Kabui's list, however, was ridiculous. He decided to play a deck with a card that had seen no play up.
I love this card, Orbital Hydralander.
And he made it look like the best deck in the room. You could essentially always make Hydralander live by maxing out on only the best names and Rhino Warriors, while also manipulating the graveyard with Fairy Tail Snow. Thanks to the main deck Kaijus, the deck actually had a pretty good matchup versus Sky Striker. And somehow the deck only got better for a short while with the release of Thunder Dragons in Soul Fusion on October 9th, 2018. Pure Thunder Dragon, it was quite favorable for BA, since
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. I love both of these decks so much. Thunder Dragon, if it's played properly, fucking shits on Burning Abyss. It's not even close. And I can't believe people ever thought this matchup was good. Oh my god. I remember the Europeans came over to YCS Niagara with their stupid BA decks, saying it's a good Thunder Dragon matchup, and they kept getting fucking destroyed. And I remember thinking, what the hell deck were they playing when they played Thunder? How were they winning against Thunder? Like, it wasn't the best matchup in the world, but it wasn't even like good for BA. I didn't understand what was happening. That one always confused me. This deck was really not a good deck this format. It was like a very fine option, but it was not the deck to play.
To Burning Abyss, and you could kill through most boards with the constant link climbing with things like Malicious, as well as Farfa getting rid of the indestructible monsters. And so, Burning Abyss managed to rack up 11 YCS tops and 4 EU WCQ tops in 2018 before Fairy Tail Snow was banned in January 2009.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
4 years after the deck was made, Burning Abyss was still putting up double-digit tops in a season. This was one of the strangest, most unique phenomena in Yu-Gi-Oh! I think this streak of topping a major event this often and for this long has never been replicated. And so, this is why Burning Abyss, until day, has such a dedicated fan base.
Probably Sky Striker,
15,
just similar.
Block Burning Abyss, 2019.
Oh, I forgot about this deck. I don't like this deck.
It is really scraping the bottom of the barrel, unfortunately. With no snow, the deck was barely playable, and only managing 1 top cut spot that year at YCS Sydney, and that was pre-snow ban, using a similar list as before with hand traps and just the other monster mash style of link climbing. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the final ever Tier 2 Plus Premier Event top for Burning Abyss. People tried to switch up to some heavy combo versions using Block Dragon, ending on Fossil Dyna, and the deck continued to live on.
That's just wrong. That's just wrong.
That year at YCS Sydney, and that was pre-Snowban, using a similar list as before with hand traps and just the other monster mash style of link climbing. Ladies and gentlemen, This was the final ever Tier 2 Plus Premier Event top for Burning Abyss. People tried to switch up to some heavy combo versions using Block Dragon, ending on Fossil Dyna, and the deck continued to live on this full support of Copium. Despite this, it never managed to get a top. The closest it got
This is like I'm pretty sure I'm the one filming this.
What's up, YouTube? We're here
Oh, no,
with
it's Furman.
Shaquille O'Neal.
But this is my fucking man's Shaq. Like, we're going to Sacramento together, and like tomorrow, he fucking topped Guatemala, which is 2019 after Snowban with Burning Abyss.
What did you just do?
Top 32 YCS Guatemala.
With what deck?
Burning Abyss.
Burning Abyss? 2019 Burning Abyss?
How did Farfa miss this?
Every year, that's the top.
All right, let's get into the deck profile.
All right, so for sure, you know, yeah.
Yeah, this is literally my playmat. This is literally my custom playmat. That's my fucking face.
Tour guide. And then
Real BA fan? Yes. Fuck Farfa. I'm the real BA fan. Farfa's fake. Spreading misinformation and lies. Why didn't he like message me to fact check him? He knows how much I love this stuff.
best card in the deck. I opted to play double Skarm and double Farfa. It's actually a really small Burning Abyss engine.
Fuck yeah. He lost the Galleon top cut. A fucking BA deck. I'm so mad.
Was YCS Chicago in 2019, placing 35th. In May, Dark Neostorm finally imported Cherubini, Ebon Angel of the Burning Abyss. Let me just play the original clip from the original Legacy video because I think this is amusing.
Until Konami prints a Burning Abyss Link monster or a generic Link monster with a fiendish Rhino style effect, we can safely assume that with Master Rule 4, Dante has died.
It's like word for word the text of what would end up becoming Cherubini. Despite this, it wasn't enough. Block BA was at its peak, despite ending on 4 negates and 2
I
floodgates.
also feel like Block Burning Abyss did get a top, but also I don't really know. If this really is the most frequent top of Burning Abyss, I need to know, because that'd be an awesome feat to give to Shaq. Shaq was a top 16 event. Farfa, you are a fucking moron. I was at this event. It is not a top 32 event. Or it's not a top 16 event. You've not been fact checked. You don't know how to acquire information properly. Ask the player who won. Paulo. Top 32 pairings. Was that so hard to look at? Shaquille Leslie Hall. Versus Galley. Here you go. Farfa, you just... It's crazy you tried to turn that on me. And I was there. Like, why would I lie about that? Like, you could have just said you were wrong or said nothing. Instead, you try to gaslight me. That's crazy. Right? Like... Does it say decks? No, it doesn't say deck breakdown. Relax, it was a mistake.
It didn't get a premier event top. It could have been considered fun to play, but it just couldn't outpace Orcust or the newer combo versions of Thunder Dragons. It also suffered once again from Abyss Dweller being played by Salamangreat, and all of the other types of graveyard hate that was originally directed at Orcust, with Burning Abyss taking Crossfire.
Chapter 16, the COVID era.
I'm actually curious if there's any other BA tops, right? Because I feel like that'd be a cool icebreaker that Shaq could use. Say he's the last person top with BA. I feel like there has to be one since then, because people love that deck and they always play it, but I don't know.
The COVID era was a strange time in general for Yu-Gi-Oh! Not just the meta, but because of remote duels, where we had to use our webcams to participate in anything close to an official event. During lockdown, we had Phantom Rage, a set which saw the release of Divine Arsenal Zeus. This card requires an
Crazy
exceed to
card.
rank up into after it battles, and not once per turn, could detach 2 cards to send all cards on the field to the grave. Until today, Zeus might just be the best BA card. This was the biggest support card since Hydralander. In fact, among the BA community, we sometimes refer to BA as a Zeus turbo deck, using a BA engine. Being able to make a Dante attack something in defense, rank up into downward, and then getting Zeus's effect off twice to hopefully dodge an Imperm or Veiler, and even provided that the Dante was made with the right materials, you could still do all of that and end on a Beatrice. A lot obviously has to go right in order to do this best case scenario play, but overlaying 2 BA names and making a Fortune Tune, which until today jump scares players because it cannot be targeted or destroyed, makes shotgunning into Zeus for main phase 2 a bit of a gotcha moment for the deck. While Zeus was an incredibly powerful card for Burning Abyss, it just wasn't enough to give this deck too much relevant recognition, especially with COVID shutting down events. In 2021, Gabe Vargas, National Champion of North America 2018, managed to get first place at a remote duel extravaganza, which is kind of like a small regional. While this is a complete shadow of an achievement compared to the original power of Burning Abyss, we really were going to take whatever we could get at this point. This deck was sadly still being played almost in the same way it was in 2018, except worse because there was no snow. Ice Dragon's Prison was a super powerful trap card included that came out in a year prior in Rise of the Duelist before Zeus. Naturally, that worked well. We also got Predaplant Verte Anaconda. By sending Red Eye's Fusion to summon Red Eye's Dark Dragoon was a huge go-to in the community, spawning such classes
it's so
as Make
boring.
Verte. Because if your opponent stops anything you do with your hand traps or other layer forms of interruption, you could always just put 2 BAs into Verte. And of course, the best turn 1 combo, which just needed any combination of Graph Seer or Tour Guide, meant you could end on Dragoon plus Beatrice. Put this together with a Dinomicious and a Solemn Strike, not a lot of decks were able to break this. It was fine. Burning Abyss definitely remained a playable rogue deck at an absolute stretch, but sadly, ever since Koji Yajima's top 8 finish at YCS Sydney 2019 in January, this was the last recorded premier event top. Burning Abyss has never recovered. Despite its short stint in 2018, it hasn't been near playable until maybe Transaction Rollback today, which, again, rogue deck at best.
Chapter 17. Present day and beyond.
Now I have to prove Farfa wrong. Now I have to top with Burning Abyss. Yeah, I mean, exactly. My turn to get a top with BA. I mean, I've topped with BA. But now I have to be the one to revive it. I have to revive Burning Abyss.
After dodging multiple deserved banlist hits during its peak, one thing that's all but inevitable will be the banning of Beatrice. Somehow Dante survived.
You don't think it's
15,
possible?
16.
Ugh. Let's make it work.
And even the resurgence in 2018. But with the recent release of Fiendsmith, a 1-card rank 6 Beatrice that allows you to make her without your normal summon and use the effect immediately, the whole
Beatrice
community sees her days
is
as
doomed.
numbered.
The Beatrice is going to be
Ironically, summoning
banned.
Beatrice with the Burning Abyss method is actually more fair than summoning it hard today. If we're very lucky, Beatrice will receive an errata to essentially reverse her summoning condition, meaning that you can't use it on the turn you hard summon it, but you can if you summon it with a BA. That could potentially be a buff for the deck. In terms of the future, Burning Abyss is not out of the realm of being a meta deck again. At its absolute core, the monster themselves still hold up somewhat decently until today. They're still very good
There's
at
hope.
swarming the field.
There
the
is
deck can
hope.
easily access Zeus, and they offer good tempo and disruption. The problem is that I think Burning Abyss needs an end board. Relying on GOAT format discard traps and a singular Farfa banish with Beatrice isn't good enough anymore. Perhaps we'll get a Burning
You guys are going to hate me. The answer is mix it with mix BA with Fiendsmith cards. It's the same thing that every other deck should do.
Abyss Circular that can summon itself from hand by sending Graph from deck for cost, and also has a graveyard effect to immediately search Fire Lake. Perhaps an upgraded Dante is very much needed. We really need a better go-to rank 3 monster. Personally, I've even dreamed up a Link 1 that requires Dante as a material, kind of like Infernoble Charles, which would mean allowing you to immediately summon Beatrice with Seer target Dante, Dante target Seer, and then maybe lets you send the card from deck, or search a BA card, or just do what every other boss monster does in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Let it negate by also milling a BA or something.
2 BAs
Or all
into
of the
Moon.
above.
Exactly,
You see,
yeah.
We've seen historically just how good legacy decks can suddenly become meta with the right support cards. Melodious, Unchained, and Super Heavy Samurai, all decks which are pretty old at this point, and then immediately became meta with the right support cards without abandoning the original cards, kind of like how Notorious support kind of did. Over 1,600 days of meta relevance, 5 years of meta dominance, or at least topping a YCS, Burning Abyss truly is an incredible deck. Burning Abyss deserves a spot in the Hall of Fame for Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks. Being a dominant metaphor since its release, appearing multiple times in and out of formats for years, amalgamating itself with different engines, archetypes,
Block
playstyles,
Dragon
and
BA
even
was
through
a
Master
funny
Rule
one.
4, taking multiple top cut spots during a period where Pendulum FTK, Danger FTK, and Firewall Dragon, some of the most broken days of Yu-Gi-Oh! That is nothing short of a monumental success for a deck that was 4 years old by that point. Burning Abyss has 191 premier event tops spanning 5 years. Today, as you end this video, it's been 10 years. The second half of this decade has been slow, to say the least, for Burning Abyss, but you never know in Yu-Gi-Oh! We could just be 1 or 2 support cards away from another Burning Abyss meta.
Inspirational. Now wait. Thanks to me, He didn't even ask me anything. If I did, I would have thought he spelled pack wrong. I would have told him he was making mistakes. What did he ask me? I don't remember. I'm complaining about a special thanks. Farfa, what did I get thanks for? I'm not complaining. I'm just confused that my memory is failing me. Ooh, we got a boat. We got like an end credit scene. It's gonna be like the Avengers assemble at the end. Oh no. Okay. Oh wait. What is this? This is a list of all the tops. This is crazy. For helping you with BA over the years? Sure. Thank you very much, Farfa. But now you've lit the fire under me. Now we have to bring Burning Abyss back to its former glory. I am mad you snubbed my man Shaq. That's my homeboy. You snubbed him of his accomplishment of the last BA top. But this is crazy. We must bring back the Burning Abyss. Where's my first top? Eventually it's somewhere here. This list is long, isn't it? It is fucking long. It is a cool end credit. Where am I? 2015. No, I'm still a while away. I'm nationals this year. I recognize so many of these names that I haven't seen in so long. June 2015. Oh, I should be coming up. Yay! My first top. There we go. then back again. Third place there. You count every deck at the top of the Farfa in their deck, because then you can count all the Nekroz deck that played Farfa with Armageddon Knight. You learned my middle name is deleted? What are you talking about? It's Dean. Was it not there? It should be somewhere here. No, whatever, I missed it. It should be up again in 2016 Toronto. Yeah, it's just, okay. I mean, Dean is middle name. Zoo Burning Abyss is fucking based. Are there any good rank 3s? Shaquille Leslie Hall! Ah! Are there any good new rank 3s we could use to do some combos with? Alright, so if you came in late and you didn't get us at the beginning, make sure you like, subscribe as well. Show Farfa the love, because we are leeching some content off here. Even though he did snub Shaq, and he also didn't mention Snow in TDIL. Ashra King is so bad. It is so bad. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Oh, the new Goblin Bikers, right? Is there anything you can do with those? DB is just not working today. All right, that's awesome. All right, well, never mind. You don't think anyone played Snow and BA? I almost played it, and I got talked out of it. And the one that Bowden won. Go on. You guys like my comment?
It's a long time to have been doing anything.
No one liked my comment. Crazy. Fake fans. You don't remember being popular? It wasn't popular, but it was a mistake that it wasn't popular. It's still an important card to mention, right? You also didn't mention Backjack Farfa, which I think is was a really important one for the development of the deck. Invoker's banned, I thought, still. Dead video? Yeah, but you didn't mention it. Yeah. So you did mention it. You just didn't mention it with its release, which was around the time of the ban list for Preorder 2. The fuck is Antidote Nurse? Garbage. There's this card, right? Sure, whatever. Add a Goblin. There's the Exceed Armor cards. There's Chariot cards. I mean, there's like okay stuff, but nothing screaming crazy. Dante of the Burning Abyss. Like the video? Yes, let's go show Farfa our support. You know, Farfa took this video seriously. We didn't say the Secrets Fraternity coffee pasta. I expected him to. It all started because of card design. I thought Card Trooper and Italian poetry were cool. Damn right. It was all cool. Oh, you liked my comment? I meant like the video, but like, yeah, like both. Yeah, 4 likes. Let's go. Make it meta and master duel. I'm sure I will do that at some point. Justice for Shaq. All right. I can't wait. I can't wait for the quarter century documentary. All right. I think that is enough Dantes for now. We are done with it. That was fun, but no more. Okay. There was one other React content I wanted to do, and that is this one. Zoologist reviews the Paleozoic archetype from Yu-Gi-Oh! So if you guys don't know, I'm a huge nerd for wildlife, nature, and obviously Paleozoic wildlife is a bit out of my wheelhouse. So I know a little bit about some of this stuff, like from the Cambrian period and all that sort, but I obviously don't know like nearly as much to do about current flora and fauna. WMW, thanks so much for the sub. Appreciate it. But still, this is an interesting video, and I want to see what a zoologist has to say, how wild it's going to be. So let's take a look at this. I think this will be a fun watch.
Yeah, but never played the game. If you know Yu-Gi-Oh from media but never played the game, you might have known that Yu-Gi-Oh are identical with unnatural monsters and humanoids. What you might not know is, some Yu-Gi-Oh monsters are just straight up animals. Some are very vanilla, but some of them have some sort of creative twist to it, like these pastel colored animals, or animals with jobs. There are also prehistoric animals. I mean, dinosaur is its own type in Yu-Gi-Oh! Some are also vanilla. Some are... yeah, like this.
I wonder if you... Wait, is this a Yu-Gi-Oh player? Because they do that meme. Have you read Misk? I thought this guy doesn't know Yu-Gi-Oh based off of the way he was, at least the intro.
Some Yu-Gi-Oh player might not know that.
Josh calls Anomalocharus daddy? Nah, you're lying. There's no way he calls it daddy. If he does, it's only because you guys in chat made him do it. He did, yeah. Okay, did he do it by his own free will, or did he get coerced by chat? Because that's not the same thing. Like, a person in a more natural element, and a person being, like, encouraged by a crazy chat is not the same. Oh my god.
One of the most beloved, or maybe hated, archetype is actually just animals. I'm gonna talk about the
Who hates paleo? People may not love paleo, but like, I don't know if I've heard anybody say they hate paleo. You? Really? Really? You hate them? What the hell do you hate about them? I don't do anything that, like, if there's a card to hate, it's D-Barrier.
Paleozoic. I've heard a specific Yu-Gi tuber called them bacteria several times. But no, they are
animals. Bacteria, they're on animals.
Real animals.
A lot of them live in the, I think they're from the Canadian shale, so they're actually like something you can see here. Canadian shale like animals or fossils. I think there's a better name for it. Fossils of the Burgess Shale. That's it. Yeah. And there's a bunch of different animals, including like Anomalocaris, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Anomalocaris is here. And obviously not all of these are in here. Hallucigenia. You can see what it looks like. Imagine, yeah, Morella. And yeah, these look pretty close to what they are in the card. So like they're accurate. Obviously there's plenty of them that aren't cards. This just shows they have so much Paleo support they could keep making in the future. Controlia. New Paleo support. Or in a word, old Paleo support.
What are they? Let's talk about the name of their archetype for that. I strongly prefer the OCG name for this. The Japanese OCG name is Bajestoma. For the Korean version,
Yeah, Burgess, yeah.
I cannot read Hangul, so I'm just gonna trust Google Translate for that.
버제스토마.
Okay, so the Korean name is also Bojestoma. That's actually the best name for them. I almost forgot that Paleozoic were originally Korean exclusive, so that makes sense. Anyway, that name is straight up a reference to what they are, the Burgess Shale fauna, named after where they are found, the Burgess Shale, located in Canada. This is a marine
See, I'm a
deposit,
nerd, I know this stuff.
which means all of these animals are marine creatures, which is why all of them are water aqua in Yu-Gi-Oh! For the TCG name, basically it's just Paleozoic in different languages. Paleozoic is an era. You might be familiar with Mesozoic, that is the era when dinosaurs exist. Maybe you're familiar with the name Jurassic, that is the middle period
Yeah,
of the
Cretaceous,
Mesozoic
Jurassic,
era.
Jurassic.
So,
I actually took a paleontology course about dinosaurs in university, so we had to study these different eras. The general education courses I took for university, I took a paleontology course, 2 Greek literature courses, and I took a planetary study course. Pre-watched. I'm pre-watched. I'm just smart.
Paleozoic is the era before the Mesozoic, spanning from around 540 million to
Pennsylvanian and Mississippian. I'd never heard those before. I've heard Silurian, Devonian, Ordovician, Permian. I'd never heard of these two before, though. I didn't even know these were a thing. Why did I get clipped something called Josh's Kink? The fuck?
Let's go.
I mean,
the boss.
this is just straight up the most
Daddy.
famous.
What? Okay. I will not be saying the same things about these cards. Baddie? I think he was saying daddy. Baddie might be worse. What's worse, baddie or daddy? Or should you just say just both? One's a baddie, one's a daddy.
242 million years ago. The Burgess Shale fauna fossils are from the Cambrian, which is the first period of the Paleozoic era, specifically Middle Cambrian, around 510 to 505 million years ago. Burgess Shale is the first Cambrian fossil deposit to be found. It was discovered back in 1909. What's interesting about the Burgess Shale fauna is their uniqueness. Most of them don't have an extant animal representative, so it took a long time for us to even understand what they are. Some fossils have been analyzed and redescribed several times, even as recent as June 2024. That is just 2 or 3 weeks before this video is gonna be uploaded. Even so, some of them are really popular, being used in several popular media, including Yu-Gi-Oh, of course. So, if we are looking at the Yu-Gi-Oh archetype, the trap cards are the abundant animals, well, most of them at least, while the extra deck monsters are the dominant predators of the ecosystem. I'm gonna talk about them one by one.
That's cool.
Starting from the most abundant animal, Marella. It's named after Dr. John Marr. We found a lot of Marella specimens in Burgess Shale, reaching over 25,000 specimens. They are really small.
You can probably buy these fossils. How do you spell it again? Morella, 2 R's, 2 L's. I wonder if you could buy it. The hell is this? Ancient Canada. Someone should get Josh a gift if you're just get him a complete playset of fossils, like actual fossils of all the creatures. Yeah, I mean these are based on real things, so you can actually just do that.
Only about
You should
2.5
force him to buy it. Yes.
centimeters.
I think I actually have a trilobite fossil in my bedroom. I have to go find it. I haven't looked at it in a while, but those are cheap, and they're not. Those aren't the same thing. But if you're not familiar with those, they look kind of similar. Yeah, you see, these are fucking common. These are so common. Yeah, trilobite fossil like this. I can't afford fossils after trying to get 2 royal snows. I have a I do have a what's it called fossil, the trilobite fossil. It's not the same thing though. I live in Canada. The Burgess Shale's on the west coast, not the east coast. Oops.
Marella is an about animals,
Oh, what did I do?
their traits, and concepts for 25,000 specimens. They are really, really small, only about 2.5 centimeters. Marella is an arthropod, but nothing like the current existing arthropods. They are active swimmers, but most likely stay near the seafloor. So, at first glance, the first thing I would notice when looking at Yu-Gi-Oh! Marella is these eyes. We never found any evidence of eyes in Marella fossils. The second are these appendages. These swimming appendages is a kind to the one you can find in stomatopod, like the mantis shrimp. The thing is, we also don't have any evidence of these thick bristles on the tip of the swimming appendages in Marella.
Damn, he's going full nerd.
Usually, the reconstruction of Marella just shows swimming appendages with several orderly setae, not clumping at the tip like this, but it's still believable.
I'm learning. I'm
The
interested.
regular appendages, or usually called the endopods, are used to walk. In Yu-Gi-Oh! Marella, these are concentrated below the head. It should be under each segment of their body, so should be here, and a lot more. I don't really mind the hook as the claw here, but what's annoying to look at for me is this singular hook as the tail right here.
He's
Marella
really
don't have
analyzing
this,
all of these.
But I get it that it's just a creative process of making them cool. But my take is, if they want to add sharp edges to make them look cool, just make their spine bladed. These 4 big structures on their head, because these structures are actually serrated in real life. So the Yu-Gi-Oh! Version of Marella can use this spine as a blade. You know, like Haxorus from Pokemon. Oh, by the way, I do like the fact that they made these antennae clearly segmented though, because a lot of designers often disregard the fact that arthropods' antennae are most of the time segmented. If we're talking about the effect, then I think it's quite fitting that they are the one that helps the deck mechanic running without doing anything special. You know, because they are the most abundant animal there. So they are like very basic yet still a staple in Paleozoic decks. Next,
Sure.
Lincoilia. Lincoilia is named after the Lincoil Station, which is a nearby station from the Burgess Shale. So, just a disclaimer, I actually don't know how to pronounce this word. Is it Lincoil? Is it Linchoil? I don't know. Let me know in the comment if you know.
I think it's Lintro, but
to
also
put
I
it
don't know.
simply, just think of Lincoilia as a fat white shrimp. No, seriously, that's the easy way to imagine them. They are relatively small, only 12 centimeters maximum. They are part of the Megacheira groups though, meaning great appendages. That refers to these appendages. These tentacle sting growing from their great appendages, usually called the flagella, is most likely sensory organs, so basically like a feelers. The claws in these appendages are most likely used to dig and maybe grab and bring prey to their mouth. So as usual, the Yu-Gi-Oh! One is exaggerated. More spikes, more edge as always, but it's not really a big deal. Oh, by the way, what we are looking at here is their mouth part, and you could see that they are pointing their claw towards the camera, so maybe this is POV when you're about to be eaten by them? Who knows what the artist was thinking. Oh,
I don't
one
think they
last
were
thing.
thinking. They just
While the
drew it.
Barella don't have eyes, Lincoilia clearly have eyes. Meanwhile, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Lincoilia don't. I'm curious to why, but I don't think there is any answer, so
That's pretty funny.
whatever, I guess.
Never noticed that either.
About the effect, they recycle banished card to the graveyard. Maybe this is because they dig the seafloor for food? It still fits a little bit, so yeah. Next, Eldonia. If you look at this
Card's
card,
terrible.
you might think, what the heck is this? What am I even looking at? And that's completely understandable, because that's also my reaction when I'm looking at it. Eldonia is named after the Eldon train stop, same railway as the Leoncoil station. They are even bigger than the Leoncoilia, reaching up to 15 centimeters. The thing is, we don't really know what
You
they
can kind
are.
of see like little
We just know
circles
that they have coiled guts in the center
here, I
and
guess.
some kind of tentacle around the mouth that are probably used to feed. They are usually reconstructed as a disc-like animal that just floats around or stay on the seafloor. We don't even know whether they can move or not. And now, if you look at Yu-Gi-Oh! Eldonia, we can indeed see the disc-like body here, but we are looking at it from the bottom front view. I got so many questions about this design though. The most jarring one is, what are these red things? Is
Yeah,
this
it's
supposed
like,
to be weapons?
I don't know.
Like a bunch of morning stars? I don't know. The effect also confuses me. Why do they buff attack and defense? But I guess the designer is also confused. So as with many other Yu-Gi-Oh cards, they just slap attack and defense modulation on it and call it a day. Coming up next, Olenoides. This is a trilobite. So, there is a trilobite genus called Olenus. Olenoides just means resembling Olenus. So yeah, they are around 9 centimeters. I don't have anything to say about them, to be honest. They are just
Wait, so why doesn't Josh just have a trilobite fossil? Because these are just so cheap. And he can have his own Olenoides.
trilobites, like an armored sea cockroach if you somehow never heard about trilobites. I'm not hating on trilobites, okay? I just don't find them interesting. If you like
Very
trilobites
abundant.
and you find them cool, then good for you. You don't need to care about my opinion, alright? Anyway, if you're talking about the Yu-Gi-Oh design, then this is a great example of over-designing creatures. It's overly exaggerated. I don't even know where to start. The spikes, the glowing eyes, the dorsal fins,
The dorsal fin is
antenna
really
that
weird.
somehow looks like whip growing from the sides of their head. I mean, what can I say? Maybe the designer also think trilobites are too bland, so they add a lot of cool and edgy features to them. Now, if we're talking about the effect, it's one of the good main deck card. I think it's a staple in the Paleo deck, right? Just because there are not enough good ones. It's just that I couldn't find any connection between trilobites and destroying spell or traps. Trilobites are usually
What?
known for their resilience. If I'm the designer, I would make them be able to reset themselves as a trap or something like that. Or honestly, just put Lincoilia's effect on them. It's more fitting in my opinion. Anyway, let's move on. Next is Dinomischus. Its name came from the Greek word dinos, which means goblet, and mikos, which means stall. Why? Because they look like a goblet with a stall. Quite simple, really. These are really small, only about 2.8
Yeah,
centimeters max, and they are really rare. We don't exactly know what they are, but the 2019 publication placed them as one of the stem group of Ctenophora, so they are in between the Nidaria and Ctenophora. To put it very simply, between jellyfish group and comb jellies group. Anyway, if you look at the Yu-Gi-Oh design, we are looking at their mouth basically, from the top of their calyx.
Why is it swimming,
We
actually?
could see here that they have a lot of barbed tentacles, which is typical of Nidaria, not to the extent though, of course. But we actually don't know whether they have flexible tentacles or not based on the fossils alone. No evidence of that, but if we look at 2019 publications that I mentioned before, which describe another genus, which is thought to be closely related to the Dinomischus, then yes, we could indeed see that they have flexible tentacles. But remember, this card was made in 2015. It's way before this publication. So I guess props to the designer for being creative yet still realistic to some extent. Anyway, talking about the effect, it's one of the best main deck card. But it's also questionable. Why do they banish a face-up card? I guess the logic is they use the discarded card as bait and then they suck the lured prey and so they are banished?
I think it's trying to
But
read
still,
too much into the
it
effect
feels
of this,
weird
of
that
this
an
in the lore.
animal less than 3 centimeters can just banish some big monsters at will. No need to overthink it though, so let's just move on. Up next is Canadia, or Canadia. It literally means from Canada. You know, like Canadian, but without the N. So if you are Canadian and you are wondering what your ancestor from 505 million years ago looks like, then you're looking at it. Anyway, they are also small, only about 4.5 centimeters. They are straight up Polychaeta, the marine bristleworm, with a really thick
Yeah, these things
setae or
are
bristles.
ass.
We actually have a living example for this kind of animal. For example, the Cloaea. I don't have much to say about the Yu-Gi-Oh design. It's just Canadia with some creative motif or
Like
coolness
random
factor.
eyes.
Well, I assume the green oculi are just patterns. If that's supposed to be eyes, then that would be way too dang. The tentacles are also a bit too long, but it's kind of fine since they could protrude and retract them. Now, for the effect, this is arguably the best main deck card, right? Maybe alongside Dynamiscus. All I can say is, at least Canadia are active predators, so at least it's fitting for them to get a better effect. Still don't get how they book their opponent, but whatever.
Yeah, but I mean,
Next
how is it
is
supposed to make sense?
hallucigenia. It came from the Latin word hallucinatio, which is also the root for the word hallucination. Why? Because this animal is one of the weirdest fossils from Burgess Shale. It's like you're hallucinating. This is the fossil. It's small, only about 3 centimeters. When it's first discovered, paleontologists are confused. Which end is the head? Which is the way up?
I
How
thought
do they
it
walk?
was cooked.
And so, they were reconstructed like this, with stilt-like legs, tentacle thingy on their dorsal, and this roundish head. In 1991, we found out that we mixed up the up and down, so we turned it upside down, spikes on top. So the spikes are not for walking, it's for defense, which makes a lot more sense, don't you think? In 1992, we found out that it's the other way around. The black smear that we thought was its head is actually nothing, just fluid. The head is this long thing. And after that, in 2015, we finally have a clear reconstruction. with
Okay,
long
that's a picture I've
tentacles
seen
around the
before.
neck and evidence of eyes. Originally thought to be a creature straight out of your nightmares, finally found out to be a goofy creature.
Yeah, it
By the
looks so
way,
stupid.
nowadays they are very popular. I'm not sure why, maybe because of their appearance in Attack on Titan. Anyway, they are members of the Lobopod, which are the closest relative to either the tardigrade or the velvet worm. We aren't sure about that yet. If you look at the Yu-Gi-Oh design, it's quite vicious, isn't it? Looks like something that will chase you and bite you. Also, look at the leg. Spike on
The
the
wrong
bottom,
way.
tentacles on the dorsal,
We're learning today.
roundish big head, and no eyes. This is the old reconstruction of hallucigenia, the first one, and as usual, lots of spikes and edges for the coolness factor. Anyway, for the effect, I don't have any comments on this. At a glance, casual might think it's good, but it's actually nothing special when you think about it. Same as the animal. Okay, maybe I'm being too mean. Anyway, last of the main deck cards, Pikaia.
Kaya.
It means from Pika. If you don't know what Pika is, it's these animals. Pikas can be found in Burgess Shale. Alive, I mean, not as fossils. Honestly, I don't think there's any reason to why anyone would name them that way. It sounds like they are just looking around and naming things based on what they see at the moment. But it is what it is, I guess. Pikaia is a chordata. So, if we're talking about surface level taxonomy, Pikaia is technically the most advanced animal out of all the Paleozoic cards. Pikaia is a close relative to the Cephalochordata, commonly known as the lancelet, so it's almost vertebrate, but not quite. Pikaia is also small, only about 5.5 centimeters. So, the old reconstruction have these appendages near their head. The Yu-Gi-Oh design makes them long tentacles. But, Pikaia is
That's
actually
like a
just
little
reinterpreted.
flat, like
It
eel
was
larva
published
almost.
in June 11, 2024, so just 2 weeks before I made this video. The appendages are actually gills, and it's facing upwards. They also should have tentacles in front of their head, which the Yu-Gi-Oh design is lacking. Instead, they gave it these cool eyes, which might be cool, but not natural. Oh, and these hairy fins, which is also not natural. Oh, and, as always, lots of spikes for coolness vector. Anyway, the effect is almost good. Ask any Yu-Gi-Oh player, and they will agree drawing 2 cards is good. The thing is, you have to discard specifically a Paleozoic card,
I think this
which
card is
makes it very
underrated.
situational. So, just like the animal itself, almost good, but not quite there yet. Alright, now we enter the top predators as the Axie card.
Yay!
First is the Opabinia. The name means from Opabin, aka the Opabin Pass. Again, a nearby landmark. They are relatively small, only around 5 to 7 centimeters, maximum up to 10
These ones are
centimeters,
cool.
but they are a successful predator. What's iconic about them is their 5 eyes and their cloth nozzle with their long proboscis. This nozzle is not their mouth, by the way. They just use
Wait,
this
it's
like
not?
a hand to grab their prey and drag it to their mouth. Honestly, the Yu-Gi-Oh design is pretty accurate. You know, 5 eyes, cloth nozzle, their upward 3 pairs of tail fans, and even their lateral lobes with gill structures. But of course, there are still some exaggerated features for coolness factors. Too much spikes as usual, these 2 weird appendages, and these sharp mouth parts. And if you're gonna be nitpicky, then the nozzle should be a pincer, not a sucker like this. But still, I think in terms of scientific accuracy, the design is up there together with Canadia. The effect revolves around hand. You can activate Paleozoic trap cards from hand and add 1 Paleozoic trap to the hand. It's also fitting because they kinda have this long hand that they can use to grab things from relatively far away.
I think he's like literally
So
pulling
all
at
in all,
straws
I
in
think
terms of
it's a
how
really good card
the
in terms
effects
of concept.
work.
And now the other Xe card, Anomalocaris. I mean, this is just straight up the most famous creature from the Burgess Shale. Maybe from all Cambrian deposit even. There is Anomalocaris in Pokemon, in Digimon, even in Kamen Rider. The name came from the Greek word anomaios, which means unlike, and charis, which means crab or shrimp. So it basically means unlike other crabs and shrimps, an anomaly. The complete specimen is 25 centimeters, but fossil fragments suggest that they could even reach 100 centimeters. And yes, this is the apex
The daddy,
predator of the
no.
Burgess Shale fauna. They have 2 eyes and 2 long grabbing appendages, almost 1/3 their whole length. Oh, and these grabbing appendages are equipped with short spines called endite, which are also equipped with auxiliary spines. Looking at the Yu-Gi-Oh design, it's quite confusing. It's also over-designed like the Olinoides.
Yeah.
Besides that, it's also drawn in the POV when Anomalocaris is about to eat you, just like the Lean Coilia, which makes it even harder to be understood. Anyway, as usual, too much spikes and
Look at
sharp
his
edges.
nostrils here.
They are missing a pair of tail fan. Should be 3 pairs like the Opabinia. Also, the Yu-Gi-Oh design have this grimace. One of the iconic things about Anomalocaris is their roundish mouth parts. They completely disregard that in the Yu-Gi-Oh design. But I mean, I guess it's also drawn like this for coolness factor. For the effect, destroying target is obvious and fitting, since they are the apex predator. Excavating the top card of your deck is questionable though.
Is it
Alright,
Anomalocaris
last
or
one, and also the newest
Anomalocaris?
addition
I
to
don't
the
get the difference.
Paleozoic roster, Cambroraster or Cambroraster. This is a newly described genus from the Burgess Shale. I believe it's described in 2019, so it's fitting to be the new addition to the archetype. Its name means rakes from Cambrian, which is based on their unique feature that I'll show later. They are around 30 centimeters and they
This
are
is a neat
successful
looking thing. It looks like a horseshoe
predators.
crab almost.
What's eye-catching about them is this big dorsal carapace shaped like a horseshoe. Fun fact, they are nicknamed the spaceship and their species name have multiple meanings. You can translate Cambroraster falcatus as rakes from Cambrian shaped like sickle. The falcatus epithet is also a reference to Millennium Falcon, referring
cool.
to their big and wide dorsal carapace. They are also a radiodont, like the Anomalocaris, so they have roundish mouth parts. But instead of long grabbing appendages, they have shorter frontal appendages equipped with hooked spines. It's too short for grabbing prey, so they use it to sweep the sediments. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Cambroraster is relatively accurate, but still, too much spikes.
Oh, so they have the right
They
mouse
also
this time.
modified
Cool.
the frontal appendages. Instead of having auxiliary spines, they are blades instead, so it's more like a sickle. Their tail tip is also inaccurate. Oh, and I just want to say, they made the mouth part accurate here. Why couldn't they do the same to Anomalocaris? Anyway, the first part of the effect is quite fitting because they use their appendages to
Not
sweep the
pre-watched, I
sediment.
swear.
I have no comment about the second part. The third part might fit a little because they have a large carapace, so they can protect others. But at this point, it's just grasping at straws. Alright, that's all the current roster of Paleozoic archetype. If you really like
I really feel like I
Paleozoic-
couldn't add that much to this video, to be honest. But you know what? Like, this is pretty interesting. There's still a few minutes left. Let's see what else is to talk about. But I'm a nerd, so I love looking at this stuff.
like a certain world champion, maybe you're wondering, will there ever be another addition to the archetype? Well, I couldn't answer that, of course. What I can say is, there are still many other animals from the Burgess Shale. They haven't even used all of the famous animals from there yet. There is still Nectocaris, Amisquia, and Odontogryphus. These three are among the most famous animals from Burgess Shale. There is also Otoya, Wiwaxia, Herpetogaster, and Banfia, which
Yeah,
might
I've
look
heard
quite
of this one.
interesting. If we're looking for newly described animal, then there's Capinatator, described in 2017. These animals can be the main deck cards. If we want to add other big predators as extra deck monsters, then there is Herdia. For the relatively new genus, there is Titanocoris or Titanocoris, which was described and published in 2021. So yes, the potentials are there, it's just whether Konami decided to make them or not. Alright, that's about it.
That's very interesting. I mean, obviously he knows way more than I do about all the animal stuff, so I'm just kind of nodding my head along saying, okay, I knew that, or ooh, I didn't know that, but very interesting nonetheless. Evolution is really cool. To think of animals like that are the structure that eventually evolved into, you know, us and everything else. And history, evolution, nature, all just like are super interesting to me. Like, yeah, I enjoy it a lot. Something that like I really like is this guy's channel. Learn a lot about the geography as well as wildlife as well. One of these that I watched, yeah, the Tree of Life. Looking at this is really cool. Looking
This
at
video
evolution.
is sponsored by Curiosity. Is the obvious?
Like you can see everything evolved from what. I don't know. I'm a big nerd. I like a lot of this crap. I wouldn't call it crap, but yeah. New hero cards, well, announced like right now, or talking about the evil hero stuff. Anyways, yeah, that's our reacts for today. I feel like that was pretty cool. Unless there's anything else to go over, I feel like I'll look at other new reacts later, like another day. We don't have to do. I don't want to do just reacts. I'm not just a react streamer. It feels like that's all I've been doing lately, but I don't want to do just that. Review the new hero cards. Sure. Okay. Master Duel meta. Drew, why are you getting me to review hero cards? You're the hero player. Evil heroes. I have read these. I didn't give too much thought to them though. Can we add this onto the React stack? Let's take a look. How much did a one card combo do? This is not that long of a video. Okay, we'll take a look at this after we do the review for this stuff. I guess this is the next core set. The Toxic Bubble, so it's just Bubble Man. Special summon your hand. If this summon this way, you cannot special accept heroes. Oh, okay, it doesn't have a lock or anything. Or it doesn't have a condition. Oh, sorry, I'm about to sneeze. Never mind. So it's not like the original Bubble Man, but locks you into heroes. If Scar special summon you control fusion, that must special summon Dark Fusion, you can draw two. What? Draw two cards? That's pretty sick. Okay, so if you have an evil hero fusion, you just draw two. That's pretty cool. Doom Prison. Is it supposed to be Prisma? It's a rock. I don't know. Rock is good for Gaia, but Gaia is not playable by modern standards. If you control a fusion monster that must be special summoned with Dark Fusion, special card in your hand. Okay, so this one has a restriction. You can send one hero from your deck to the grave. If you fusion summon a hero monster's turn, if a face-up card can be substituted for any one of the fusion hero monsters, then but the materials must be correct. Okay, so this is just a... This is just Blazeman, right? Again, so it's another way to send heroes from deck to grave. You can send Shadow Mist or Mali. And then it can also... Yeah, it's just Prisma. It's just Prisma that's better for the deck. And then you can also use the second effect if you want to... If you are playing fusion. This is nice. Yeah, for cost is good as well. This is... I mean, it's a good card. It's a rock. Which means... Like... Maybe you can play like an Adamantipator deck with this, right? Like you can, because you can summon this off an Adamantipator and then dump Mali and then use it for synchro fodder. That could be cool. Nekrom. Oh, Nekrom is really good. Yeah, yeah. So you can Vion for Nekrom. But can Nekrom send Vion? It should be able to, right? Oh, by the way, guys, I invested in Nekrom a while ago. Everyone called me dumb because they were worthless, and I'm like, this card has to be good. And then and then you can do like Fiendsmith stuff with Nekrom, so that immediately made it better. But obviously, there's nothing that wasn't the catalyst here, but now there's actual evil hero support. Yeah, here we go. Stack of Nekroms. Not a crazy amount. I usually invest in more of a card, but this was like pretty low value investment. They're like 20 cents each, so I have like probably like 100 or so Nekroms here. Cost me like $20 for all this. If I can get like $2 each for them, that'd be awesome. Make $200. Yeah, this card is solid. This card's actually really cool. I want to try this in Adamantipator even. Because nothing locks you into anything here. Are there any other rock ones? No, it's water. No, it's Fiend, not water. Okay. Okay, this one's a Fiend as well. Level 6. No, okay, if this card's normal special summon, you can add a Dark Fusion deck or graveyard to your hand. That's kind of whatever. You mentioned this card and 4 of the monsters from your graveyard. What the fuck? So 1 Super Poly from your deck. I haven't read this one. Also, at the end of your opponent's turn, you cannot summon except hero monsters, but you can fusion summon fusion monsters that wants to special summon fusion, dark fusion, and quick effects other than it. Oh, it said you can use this card with Super Poly. All right, sure. This card is probably not great. This one's, yeah, I don't know. There's not a way to summon itself, right? So unless you have an easy way to summon it, I don't know how good this card is. I mean, it's okay, maybe. Banish 4 other monsters. I guess something to note here is it banishes 4 other monsters. Not special summon. Okay, but you can't banish Thunder Dragon's trigger their effects because you're locked out of the extra deck. That's important. Okay. This is the Nekrom target. Sure, but is there a better Dark Fusion card? Because original Dark Fusion sucks. This card is cool. So Dark Fusion. If it's summoned, or if monsters in your opponent's grave, you can try to face a monster and take control of it. I mean, that's just solid. Can't kill by battle, who cares? Or card effects, neat. This one is Avian Arbor Centrix plus a hero, so it's a bit easier to summon. Dark Fusion, if someone add a Dark Fusion card that mentions from deck to hand, I mean, it's just solid. And then random burn damage or whatever. Fiend and Warrior is weird. It's like it's a Dark Calling target, I guess. Opponent guys his attack, second attack doesn't matter. Leaves the field by your opponents. Try to Fiend Warrior in your grave, summon defense mode. I mean, this card sucks. You can like crash it. Dark Contact. Activate one of these effects. You only use each of these cards in once per turn. It's a fusion summon with Dark Fusion by shuffling materials from your field, graveyard, or banishment into the deck. Okay, so you had like a parallel contact fuse type thing. Dark Fusion. Or you add a Supreme King Castle or Dark Fusion deck to your hand. Yeah, I mean, this card's good. It's a good card. Evil Assault, discard a card, locked into heroes. Take level 4 lower evil hero from your deck, add it to your hand to summon it. I mean, this card's just another hero lives, which is fantastic. Tier Fusion? Oh, you mean like a Tier Fusion? Sure. And then this trap is target Facebook cards, number of Dark Fusions. Okay, this card's whatever. You don't want to search normal traps, really. I guess it's a card you can search off this since it's just a negate. Sure, if this card is in the graveyard, except the turn to send 3 banish it, target 5 heroes, shuffle them in the deck. Yeah, it doesn't draw cards, just shuffles them back. It's whatever. Evil Assault makes a Dusted Gold insane. Oh, can you search this off a Dusted Gold? Yeah, that is pretty good, actually. Okay, yeah, you can definitely. This actually is really good for heroes, right? I can search anything. I thought it was just spells or traps. Nope, one card. You can draw 2 draws. I mean, these cards are really good. It's just like it's making your combos more powerful. I don't know how much that matters. Making more resilient to hand traps. This definitely does, and that is good. I wonder at what point we're going to start reaching 60-card hero decks, where you just play a bunch of one of bricks that are all searchable, and then a bunch of starters. And your bricks aren't the worst, but like they're not great. And then you just start jamming all the different heroes in, doing all these crazy things. Lose D-Barrier or Nib. I don't think it loses to Nib. I think Nib you can probably find a way around pretty easily. You for sure can't play this at 40. I mean, so the next part hard becomes how do you fit an extra deck, right? Extra deck might get kind of hard with mass heroes, E heroes, extra heroes. You can play this at 40 and just use the Evil Assault as another starter extender. I mean, yeah, right. Or you can play a lot heavier of a toolbox hero deck, which I think is a lot more fun. This is cool. These are good cards. I don't know if they're broken, but they're good. Real Love is definitely better than Evil Assault, but I mean, this is searchable. Toxic Bubble seems crazy. I mean, drawing cards is like obviously good, but not like insane. They might revise the hero structure deck. I mean, we don't know. They haven't been doing structure decks again lately. It doesn't solve the problem of the deck, which is poly access. And playing into boards going second. I mean, it's more gas can help playing into fields. Also, you can get a little bit of fusion access now, right? Like you can make some other boards without it. I think this does help the problem a little bit. Do you think extra space should be increased to 20? No, it should not. Okay, let's move on with this. We can get a little Master Duel gameplay in for today before I do gotta go, because I know I started the stream late and I have to leave by like I have like an hour maybe before I have to go. Although I don't know if I have it in me to stream for that much longer. Either way though, you guys asked me to watch How Much Should a One Card Combo Do by Joshua Schmidt. So as always, we're gonna leech content. Make sure you give them credit where it's due. Like and subscribe, and watch along in the background so they get their ad revenue. Let's see what Josh has to say. I feel like Josh has been beating the same drum for a while now, though, where he's not a fan of the one card combos, which I can get. Like, I'm not a fan of Snake Eye Ash. The Ubel card's kind of crazy as well. But so I think the point here he's trying to make, and I haven't watched it, but this is just like a guess based on the thumbnail, which was like different one card combos, is that one card combos have kind of existed in Yu-Gi-Oh for a while. Like, let's go back to even the BA video we watched earlier. Like, Tour Guide into Dante is a one card combo if considering Dante the payoff, and then search Tour Guide again. It is, even if it's small, a one card play. So at what scale does it become inappropriate? But power creep exists. Where do we kind of lose it, or what needs to change? So I guess that's going to be kind of the talking points here, and I'll see what he has to say, and maybe if I have any disagreements, we'll go over it.
That's been discussed a lot in recent years. It just feels like there's a general direction in Yu-Gi-Oh towards more one-card combos, right? My stance used to be like powerful one-card combos just shouldn't be a thing. That doesn't feel like a modern sort of opinion anymore at this point, because it's impossible to ignore the existence of one card combos or to like hope on the fact that one card combos are never going to be a thing again. At this point in time, even the rogue decks are doing like one card combos, right? When I'm thinking OG,
like Memento has one card combos, Raid Raptors one card combos. It's different levels of one card combos. Like, yeah, Alistair is a one card combo, but its combo is tame in comparison.
One card combos. Can anyone think of an older or more OG one card combo than like Alistair? Oh yeah, Zodiacs is a good point.
About to say Zodiacs.
It never felt like those kind of cards were ruining the game. I mean, Zodiac was a dominant deck, but it was still a good format. Alistair never completely took over. So I feel like there is a window of opportunity in design space where you can make these cards, you can make one card combos, but they don't feel overly oppressive. Maybe there's a line at which one card combos are fine to exist, at which they don't ruin the game or they don't feel like they're ruining the game. I just want to maybe talk
I think it's largely dependent. So I mean, the actual one card combo itself matters, like the starter. But the biggest thing for me that I think matters the most is the end pieces in it. And as we get more generic cards and powerful boss monsters, the end pieces get more powerful. That's the part I probably have more problem with. I mean, obviously a lot of that's enabled by more powerful extenders and combo pieces, right? Like Appaloosa wasn't as nearly good on release as it is now because the combo pieces have gotten better. But yeah. Alistair was not a one card combo when it came out. Right, you needed to link monsters, right?
Talk about where that line is, right? Because I definitely draw the line somewhere before Snake Eye Ash. No matter where the line is, Snake Eye Ash is past that line. I feel like we passed the line for me personally with Loci and Circular, which has become a complete meme at this point, but I want to keep it like a more serious discussion. That's for me personally where
it's so funny he has to specify this because his chat probably gives him infinite shit over that.
Kind of past the line. Those were the kind of ones where I felt like it was frustrating that if my opponent started with that one card, they did too much. And of course, Circular looks
and as much as he gives shit about, we give him shit about this, he is right. Like, those cards are kind of ridiculous.
Tame in comparison to something like Snake Eye Ash these days. I understand that, but like for me personally, even what Mathmech does, the fact that this deck just either sets up what it sets up or kills me with one card, I think that's past the line. Marincess, I think, is a good example for this. One of the main selling points of playing Marincess, first of all, your deck is relatively consistent because if you can play a lot of one-card starters, you don't need to draw crazy combinations of cards. All you need to do is see one of your starters, right? And it also didn't require you to build your deck in such a way that you would plan to see like 3 or 4 engine cards, right? You can easily afford to draw 3 hand traps in a deck like Marincess. Why does it feel fine to play against Marincess, but it doesn't feel fine to play against Snake Eye in that regard? Like, what's the difference? I think it's relatively easy, at least for me. The difference is that one Marincess card does not win the game on its own, right? It's the power level, right? It's the ceiling of that one card. I don't even know what one blue tang ends on these days, but it used to be something like search one of the Marincess trap cards, and you could also maybe set up Argonaut or Bubble Reef. Could one card make Argonaut plus trap? I'm not even sure if it could. Either way, I don't think for me personally Marincess is the line. I think you could go a little bit more powerful than Marincess. My favorite more modern example, Melodious. Pure Melodious, that is. And I want to emphasize Pure Melodious because I still think that Ostinato is not a very well-designed card because it's lacking a restriction. The Marincess Pure deck obviously still has those restrictions because it has cards like First Movement Solo that lock you anyways, right? The Melodious deck for me was a good example because that deck had like room for like 15 non-engine or something, and it's relatively self-contained. That's another thing. I am a big fan when one-card combos lock you into your own archetype or your typing or whatever.
It stops those generic bullshit cards that we had a problem with, like Apo and such, like the things I was bringing up before. Melodious might be a little too strong. I think it depends on the format, but either way, it's mostly fine. Etoile is a really good card, and Aria is kind of ridiculous, but it is a level of vulnerability that means it's easier to counter. Yeah, it's not the scariest deck in the world. The Melodious is probably okay, though. Flexibility of extenders. I don't mind flexibility of extenders. Because if decks don't have extenders, then Yu-Gi-Oh! Is boring. The deck becomes unplayable, or if it is playable, it's because it's so powerful. You just slam in non-engine, and then the second it resolves, you win, right? Like, I think complicated playthroughs using extenders is important. Extenders is not something I have a problem with at all. I think it's not a bad thing.
This is not a guarantee that it's fair, though. I just want to say that. It still depends on the context of what you're locked into and what kind of options that leaves you with. Being locked into plants is cool and all, but if you have all the
extenders should be what they are, extenders, but they are also starters at the moment. I don't mind that as much. I really don't have a problem with this. These are not something that I have a crazy problem with. I hate when decks are very rigid in their terms and you can't be creative with how you play. I don't think Bonfire turning into Ash or Poplar is a bad thing. The cards are just too powerful. But it being able to be either or is a good thing. Not a bad thing, in my opinion. Because it means you can build your deck with engine and not feel bad when you draw awkward ratios of too much engine or too much non-engine. And you can be creative with how you play out your combo. That's fine. The problem is the power of the boss monsters. Flamebird is fucking ridiculous. If Flamebirds didn't exist, the Snake Eye cards would be cool. And yes, you'd have a good way to play through Disruption. The payoff wouldn't be as much, so it also wouldn't be as threatening to the point where you have to use your interrupts early on Snake Eyes. Thus meaning that a bonfire wouldn't be as crucial because you can just hold your interrupts for later to hit their boss monsters. Hitting Flamebird is so crazy because Flamebird is broken on field and in the graveyard. You need to stop it twice. So either way, the problem is versus Snake Eye, you have to stop it twice there. And then if the problem is going second versus the deck, Flamebird contributes to such a broken end field that you have a whole problem. But I don't think hitting consistency is a good strategy. And Josh, I'm almost certain, shares the same sentiment where you don't want to hit consistency in the deck. And that is basically what you're doing by making your classifications for types like rigid, where saying cards can't be both extenders or starters. I don't have a problem with that. That's where Terratop is cool, right? Terratop is a starter and extender, right? That's awesome. It needs to be contained in power level to not be like ridiculous to the point where the games are decided whether you draw it or not. Part of the issue with Maxi is where it's so much more powerful than the rest of the cards in your deck that it can be swingy, but that's all like more card design, like mumbo jumbo.
Interrupt in the world available in the plant cards, then why does it matter? If you're locked into gimmick puppets but you still have all the tools to FTK, then why does the lock matter? I don't think that's the best argument, but it is part. Restrictions are...
It's part, but I mean, it plays into the problem, again, I talked about, right? It's the threat, the actual threats and end pieces that are involved there. And with gimmick puppets, it's the FTK. Right, so that's the problem, right? If puppets had like real interrupts, so if they ended on like search the trap that's a Snash Steal and the pop on summon, and maybe you give them one of the Rinket that is something as well, but you don't have the FTK stuff, that'd be a real deck that is actually like cool. It'd be very good. The field spell's broken, but it wouldn't be like the nuts thing it is now.
Are healthy, right? Like in the case of Marincess, for example, the restrictions are very well done because if you're locked into water, you're kind of limited to what you can end on. With good hands, you have the option to like code. With some other hands, you have the option to go for like a Zelantis board wipe. But for the most part, I feel like in Marincess, you have a healthy lock. And the same is true, in my opinion, for Melodious, because when you're locked in Melodious, you have still powerful options, but you lose a lot of crazy things you could otherwise do, right? Like you're limited to basically ending on Etoile, Huberta, and like Aria for protection. Those are the only things that really do anything on your opponent's turn when you're playing Melodious. Everything else doesn't really provide anything. Right? And so I think those are good examples of something that, you know, works. Another good example that people have mentioned in chat that I absolutely agree with is Centurion if Calamity is banned.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And we have that
Caveat.
in Master Duel at the moment, and it's a 100% fine deck to exist. Honestly, fun to play against, because if my opponent normal summons a Primera in Master Duel, even
You don't
if
scream. You don't scream when your opponent summons Centurion, right? Like, you don't want to be frustrated when you look at a hand of no hand traps and see your opponent summon their one card starter, right? That card can play, that's fine. But if I have to like slam the table because now I'm going to FTK'd, that's obviously a step too far. Centurion, I think is cool. I mean, it's very good, right? Because you get the flow of resources going, you get several, you get like an interrupter or two, and it's good, but it's not like insane. It reminds you of Sword Soul. It is kind of similar to Sword Soul, yeah. Where if you already drew some pieces, then you can search the trap and you can be flexible. The cards are good. There's no doubt about it, but it's not FTKing you like with Calamity. But it's reliant on the end pieces, right? Like Blazar is a fantastic card. Fantastic card. Very, very powerful. But it's not like gonna ruin the game the same way Calamity is. It's the end pieces that make a difference.
I have no interaction in my hand. Their deck has Grind Game, their deck has an Omni Negate, but their deck will not lock me out of the game. Their deck will not overload me on interaction. It's a completely normal game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think that's roughly where my personal line is, right? My personal line is something around Centurion without Calamity. I think Voiceless is a little bit better than Centurion in that regard. Like what one low does. Is it more powerful? It's pretty similar, right? It's an Omni Negate with follow-up, but like slightly better, because I feel like Voiceless plays through hand traps better, but that's another thing.
The untargetable
that's
thing.
Roughly where my line is. If Voiceless is over the line, then not much. They both end on an Omni, so that's bad. I agree, Omnis are not the best form of interaction. At the same time, you do have to put it into context. If the Omni is quote-unquote the only thing they do, like in the case of Centurion and Master Duel, it's like, okay. But if your deck spams Apo, Flamberge...
Yeah, it's like Apo
Grave,
back with an
plus
Omni is kind of ridiculous.
More problematic. I think it's fair to give these decks some context. I personally don't believe
Like, I think Omni, as long as it's either the only or one of 2 interrupts, it starts to be manageable. When there's like 3 interrupts, including an Omni, then it gets kind of crazy, right? Because then they're protected from baits so frequently.
One card combos should not exist at all, and I am basing that off of the fact that I don't hate Centurion, I don't hate Marincess, I don't hate Voiceless, I don't hate Melodious. Those are all decks that I think are completely fine to exist, and to me that means one card combos have a space in Yu-Gi-Oh where I find them acceptable. Unless it's circular. See, you're always making fun of me for that as if that's unreasonable. I think there's a difference between my opponent normal summoning Primera in Master Duel and my opponent using circular in Master Duel. Let's say my opponent hand traps me and I have to pass. Primera does not.
I think part of the problem with circular is that hand traps kind of fucking suck against it. And that's kind of why it's a bit weird. Unless it's Bistrals. His argument is that bad decks are good and good decks are bad. I mean, the argument's power level. If you want to simplify his argument to that, then sure, but that's, I mean, he's just saying that he thinks the power level's too high. Why are we playing BA, Jesse? We talked about BA for 2 hours. My chat wants me to watch this video now. Circular is probably the most powerful starter we have had in the game as an individual card. I mean, it's within context of its own deck, right? There's other things, right, that are probably more powerful. In terms of what the things that one card can do, you've seen in my one card combo videos how crazy the game can get. The difference in 2 negates versus 3 negates is massive. Yeah, exactly. That's why I said 2 or less. If we're going for omnis, it needs to be like it. Yeah, but circular is the cost. Yep, that's part of what makes it so hard to interrupt. Can't dash it. Can't dash it, can't Veiler it, can't Imperm it, can't Mourner it. And the thing is, even if you have Bestial into it, then it becomes easy to play through, right? The thing is, like, I don't mind when one card starters can be played through, but I don't like when they only have a couple hand traps that even work on it, and then those ones are able to play through. Like, if Veiler, Imperm, and Mourner were all viable, like, things on there, then it'd be a little different. I don't know. Circular is a really good card. Like, I don't blame him for having this opinion. I don't think his opinion is that crazy. I mean, I'll shit on Circular the same way he does. He definitely has more of a disdain than I do, but I also don't think it's unfounded.
Circular, you're dead. When I go second in Master Duel, my opponent normal summons Primera. That's 1 Omni negate. 1. My opponent activates Circular. I don't even know what the current standard is, but it's a super factorial for Hand Rip, Send from Field, Omni negate, Terahertz for a Spell Trap negate, Heat Soul to draw 2 cards. It's not the same. This whole meme that we're riding for a year or 2 now, it does come from my genuine concern with one card combos that I felt like got out of hand around that time. As funny as you might think you are when you say like, oh, you criticize MathMech, but you think Primera is okay. I want to
can tell this has been a problem in his stream for so long. Oh, poor guy.
I think there's a difference. I think it's important that one card combos can be stopped and
so you guys are better, right? We don't troll chat. So we don't troll me the same way. I don't know what you would even troll me with. I guess a bigger streamer usually get more colorful personalities in the chat. So when I've had bigger streams, actually when I've done streams with larger audiences like we do at for watch parties, I can get kind of tilted by seeing some of the things that I want to see. People that recommend cheating, like literally, oh my god. Yeah, before I get triggered, I'm gonna continue. I think it worse as you go along. Yeah, sure. In from Column of Worlds, that's hilarious though. I know I fucked up. I'm not hiding that. Like, if I'm like ever looking that as I'm playing along, right? Because it's fun for both of us. But like, you can say the swapping deck things, but I'm just chilling.
Interacted with if you draw certain hand traps. I think that's another issue with specifically Snake Eye. Makes it frustrating to play against is because the deck has pretty much no clear choke points. Because every single point...
It's funny how Circular has gotten Power Corrupt and Master Duel. So a big difference is in the TCG, no hand traps are effective as Circular. In Master Duel, guess which hand trap is effective as Circular? Max C. It does legitimately hold back MathMech to a fair degree. But the deck is somewhat playable. Like, the deck is a playable deck, and I would not say it's that bad. But yes, for Snake Eye Ash is better than Circular. Like, sure.
where you interact with them, they can just replace it by drawing any of their extenders. This is problematic because it's basically also making those decks unstoppable. And my take is that one card combos should be relatively easy to stop because those decks have a lot of room for non-engine. When you play against those decks, or when you play one of those decks, I think what you should sign up for is if you get stopped, you have to stop them with your non-engine and try again next turn. I don't think it's reasonable that you can just ignore their hand traps, keep playing, and then just back up your board with hand traps. Is Branded Fusion okay?
So should move this.
I think Branded Fusion is hard to compare this to.
It's not okay. By the way, it's
in
not.
Some aspects.
Branded Fusion is fucked. Branded Fusion is way too strong, I think.
Branded Fusion is okay, but for other reasons. I don't hate Branded. I just hate how so much of that deck is condensed in that one card. Choke points are good, but I don't believe that they should make you build a deck around one card, and then if that one card gets stopped, your deck basically does nothing unless you have a super specific combination of cards to still play. You played Branded yesterday and you still feel like that? No, I like Branded, especially if they banned Albion. I think Branded is cool, and I think Branded is not easily comparable to decks like Snake Eye, Centurion, Marincess. I think they're different because you can say whatever you want about Branded. At least Branded cannot ignore your hand traps, right? If Branded gets hand trapped on Branded Fusion like Ashed or something, that deck has to...
He hasn't been Branded Lost it enough. Testing versus Branded, when they open up Lost Branded Fusion, I don't have Ashe in my hand. You're just like, well, I can't do anything. And then you just get fucking destroyed.
Significantly change how it plays. And its game plan in the TCG at the moment, at least to my understanding, is like, if I get Ashed on Branded Fusion, I try my hardest to somehow piece together a puppet lock to not get killed. Which it can, you know, there are ways to play around Ashe with Branded, I'm aware, but it's not as easy and not trivial. There's no one card combo to play around Ashe, right? So in
you can Ashe under Lost. I said if you don't have Ashe. Without Ashe. I know you can Ashe with Lost. I'm saying a hand without Ashe. So if you have Valor Imperm and they have Lost... Oh, no, you guys are just trying to troll me. I'm going to ignore you guys.
in some ways, I think it's okay that Branded Fusion is such a big choke point. It feels bad when you play against Branded and you don't have Ashe and the deck feels like unstoppable, right? That's also not a great feeling. But it is good that there is counterplay to that card. Does that mean Meow Meow Mew can come back? In today's environment, it could probably come back. Yeah, and this is another thing with card design that you need to be aware of. Sometimes the cards are just ahead of their time. I think if Prank Hits came out now with Meow Mew, people would not complain about it. I definitely think they have crossed the line with some one-card combos like Nightmare Throne, Snake Eye Ash. They need to be careful, basically, with the one-card combos that they give us, I think. What about Ponix?
The problem with Yubel is fucking Phantom. Phantom is just, like, crazy.
King is fine, disregarding the Snake Eye cards in it. Vakaushi, yeah, see, this is the weird part. The confusing part about the TCG for me at the moment is like Vakaushi, they hit pretty much immediately because it feels like they realized we didn't like this. Like this was something that came out and got slaughtered 2 weeks later, which everyone liked. I think the difference between Vakaushi and Snake Eyes is that Vakaushi was not part of the year or two long lore archetype that OCG has decided to make incredibly powerful. Vakaushi was legacy support, one-time thing that came out, right? I think that's why Vakaushi was handled this way and Snake Eyes is
I haven't thought about that way, but yeah, that makes sense.
And that's kind of sad because with Vakaushi, we realized the good thing for the game was to not let this happen, but for Snake Eyes, we're not doing that for other reasons. Thinking about the fact that Tyr and Cash were also main lore, yeah, they've been meta for a long time.
Yeah, that's like...
Can we agree banning around sales instead of balance is bad for the game? I mean, yes, we agree, but unfortunately, the reality we live in is that both things are an important factor for them. Selling
you
Yu-Gi-Oh
need
cards
sales around, or you need bans around sales to exist as well, because the game needs to flourish. If the game doesn't flourish, the game dies. Hot take, no. The game will die. What do you want me to tell you? If the cards don't sell, people will Konami will stop supporting the game. It needs to be balanced well. You can't have it just be sale oriented. Balance has to matter. If it doesn't matter, then it's also terrible. But if you ignore sales, then the game just dies. There needs to be a game. The games have to make money. Yeah. Whenever I'm looking at a perspective for any of these takes, you have to look at this as Konami being a profit-driven company. So decisions need to make sense, at least somewhat logically, for profit. And I won't ever suggest things I feel like are just not going to be profitable. Like Konami giving 10K prizing away. Their pricing can be alt arts. It can be more designed to be the player base's preference without really changing the cost besides a couple of R&D uptick that would be only like a one-time cost. But for that would be like a worthwhile payoff for them. Yeah, and like they have to design a new prize card anyways. So like that's like not a problem. Paying, so I don't know, like that's something that I think they should be investing money in, or could a little bit of money, but needs to be, yeah, this still needs to be very like worth it for them at the same time.
Is a business. I think it's unrealistic to be like they should only do it from a game balance perspective, which is often where we as the community, we're coming from that standpoint. We're like, just do what's best for the balance of the game, right? But sometimes you gotta accept that, well,
so the other thing is doing what is best for the balance of the game is also what's doing best for the longevity of the game, right? Because if the game is balanced, it encourages more people to play it, more people enjoy it, and then it does better. That is also true. So balance should be a very, very high central focus thing. But if the end goal is still that the company makes money so the game can continue, and that's the ecosystem, then both need to matter. But you cannot forsake balance. That should never be forsaken. Because then even if it's some money in the long run or in the immediate, in the long run it's bad.
I mean, they do want to sell those cards that they've designed. More fun equals more money. Theoretically, in the long run, I would agree with you. I always favor the balance of the game over short-term selling an archetype or something. On the other hand, they have managed to keep this game around for 20 plus years, right? Which a lot of other trading card games have not managed to do. So they are doing something right. Just look at what happened to Runeterra to understand. See, that's the other thing. Yeah, I actually played Runeterra. I loved Runeterra. They did a lot of things for the balance of the game and for the players and all that kind of stuff. And they made it very cheap and affordable to play. And the game died because of that, because they didn't make enough money, right? There needs to be a balance between the two things.
I think
Yu-Gi-Oh is more on the side of they're making too many decisions based on business, and they could do a little bit more for the health of the game. Those were just some things I wanted to get out of my system. They are things that are on my mind when I'm thinking and anticipating the August Forbidden and Limited list.
Okay,
happening.
So he didn't even say where his line was, or he didn't like map them out. I was curious if he was going to, I guess he did talk about all these decks, but I wonder if you like put on a list together all the one card combo decks and rank them on a line in terms of power and say where you draw the line. That could be a cool idea for like something to do. Maybe that's something we can arrange if we want to have some extra content. Not right now, but I don't know. Centurion voice is roughly where, but it's not, I don't think there's enough context for that to be just where we end the conversation. You wonder why Yu-Gi-Oh is allowed to be more affordable in the OCG though? So keeping the currency in mind is a small thing to keep into consideration. It's not like the sole factor to think about, but it is a factor. Like food is also just cheaper there. Hotel's cheaper there. Someone's been there 3 times. I've always felt in general just being there was cheaper than in America. And that's in Tokyo, right? Like a major city. So turn on notifications? No. I don't know notifications turn on for anybody. Why do I want a notification to get texted on my phone when I post a video? We'll watch it on stream together. But yeah, so that makes a difference. The fact that it isn't adjusted for other countries is kind of insane because they keep OCG and TCG separate. They're able to do that based on the economies, but because all of TCG is one unified field, the markets would be too messed up for them to say make Brazilian cards cheaper, because otherwise there'd be arbitration between markets, and that would be an issue. So instead, they're all under one game, one printing, one cost market, and then it leaves a hobby for like Brazilians that's way too expensive for their national income averages, which is messed up. And you can feel that a lot more in countries where their economy is weaker. I think economics is super interesting because economics is just an ecosystem, right? And as someone who loves nature, it's the same thing as we struggle to understand and get better ideas. I mean, that's not the only factor, right, for why it may be better in Japan. There are different culture things. Maybe it's ease of printing. Like if card games are a big part of the card games are bigger there, printing might be cheaper as well. Distribution might be cheaper. I don't know that. Or it might be they've settled into their ways, because let's look back to how Yu-Gi-Oh started here is with Upper Deck, a different company, and Konami took over because there was a whole lawsuit like 15 years ago, and they may have just seen that Upper Deck's model worked, which was more expensive and different, base. And then they decided if it works, just keep it. We already have this model that works, even if it's more expensive for players, then why change it? Which, much as I hate, from business perspective, from like their mindset, I understand. And that one, unfortunately, there's zero chance they'll change unless they're financially incentivized to do so. Maybe they will if other card games start doing similar things. I haven't kept up with what Pokemon's doing in terms of set rarities, but opening opening a Pokemon product, I'm pretty sure is just terrible, like worthless. That's kind of a problem. There's more TCG competition in Japan. It's not even that crazy, I think. I think there's still like a huge market here. Pokemon's very cheap, yeah, but the sealed product is not. It's bad for vendors. I think part of their fear as well, like Konami has to keep in mind, is the secondary market. If it collapses, then LGS stores stop hosting Yu-Gi-Oh! And that could also destroy the communities. I'm not saying for certain. These are just like maybe hypotheses that they have. And they don't want to risk it, right? Which, again, like, even if I don't agree with it, I can understand, right? Why would you want to take the risk with a formula that's working? Josh and Farfa, a former Konami employee that worked at Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG on their podcast, went over a ton of stuff. So I haven't watched the podcast, but I do know who they're talking about, Matt Bell. He worked for product design, I'm pretty sure. He's one of the lead developers of Speed Duel, but I don't know what I'm supposed to be saying or not, so I'm not going to go over that too much more. Hypotheses, yeah. Hypotheses. Hypothesize. The thing is that for the game to have a healthy ecosystem, the products can't be made just for the players. Vendors, collectors are important too. Yeah, well, I think collectors aren't as important for Yu-Gi-Oh! As they are for Pokemon. They do exist, is for sure, in the community, although they've also largely fallen off since COVID. That's partially because Konami scared them away with all these QCR prints, which is a bad thing for collectors. It means that high rarity cards are more accessible to average players, but I don't give a shit, to be honest. I needed to start saving some money, so I sold my high rarity cards. I don't use high rarity anymore, unless I'm borrowing a deck that has high rarity. I don't have a problem with that. When people tell me they're mad they can't afford high rarity, but you can afford a lower deck, I don't give a fuck. I'm sorry. Like, if it makes the game more healthy and it promotes the game because the cards are expensive, but you still have access to a low rarity version of the card, and you can still compete, then I don't have a problem with that. You're allowed to complain about engraver being expensive, but if you complain about QCR engraver, I don't give a shit. If you complain about QCR Magic because you don't have a low rarity version, that's fine. But like, I just don't like people complaining about high rarity cards being expensive. That's fine. 1K Magic is something for collectors? No. So Magic is $1,000 now. It went up more because now there's announced Blue Eye support. Now that's a problem because Blue Eyes might be playable, and if Magic is a card that we need to play in that deck, then what the fuck do we do? That card is expensive, and no other printings. That card needs to be reprinted. Like, needs to be reprinted. Reprinted is a fucking dirty-looking common. That's fine, but you're going to need access to it. Yeah, I just always, like, it rubs me the wrong way when people complain about not being able to collect. Like, maybe I'm being crude and unsympathetic to the cause, but for me, collecting is going to be expensive. There's always going to be something expensive you can collect. You can always go up the chain. You're always going to find a way to complain. So just bugger off and like let the game thrive while not actually hurting the players themselves. If we didn't have low-rarity options, the game would be pay to win. I'm not saying we don't need low-rarity options. I'm saying that people who complain about high-rarity cards when we already have low-rarity cards of the same print are stupid. I'm saying that People like Engraver, people are allowed to complain about. I love the Fiendsmith cards. I think they're super sick. The problem with them is Beatrice, Appaloosa, sure, and then the other problem is the price tag because of the way they distributed the rarities. That is a legitimate problem. Because like I think of decks I want to play, and for my channel, I'm like, okay, well the deck I want to play is something I want viewers to be able to build and have fun with. But almost every deck that can like be combo related, which is a lot of what I love to do, is going to use Fiendsmith cards, and then that gets lost in translation to a lot of viewers, which sucks. And that's ass, right? I don't want to have to alienate people, and it should be a problem. Yeah, I mean, I feel like this rant developed right back into the problems with the Yu-Gi-Oh thing again, which seems to happen like every time we talk about any discussion with game design or Konami's decisions as far as the company goes. It's worth picking up a Fiendsmith engine even with the price tag. If you are dueling, yes, if you're dueling a lot. But if you're a casual and the hobby is, this game is like a hobby you just play locals with, and you just want to play fun decks, then I fully understand not playing Engraver, right? Like if I wasn't into regional level events, just going to locals, and the locals wasn't like particularly good price support, and the locals wasn't even that competitive, for example, then fuck, why would I get Engravers? But that does kind of make it kind of weird compared to the rest of like the community. But yeah, I mean, I think Engraver will be a good card for a while. Like if your fear is the card depreciating in value immediately, I think it's safe, for now at least. But obviously, if you hold it for like months, like for half a year, then yes, it'll start to wane in value. I'm not trying to give an economics course because also predicting the market can be hard. But like if you wanted to use Engraver for a month, then you could probably do that and then sell it and lose not much money, if any. So there are ways to go about it, but yeah, like whole other issues we're getting into. Wait till after the ban list to pick them up before anything IMO. I think you can pick them up now. I'd pick them up now. I think they might go up after the ban list. To be honest, because I think they'll be playable in almost anything, even if Beatrice is banned. Just as a vehicle to make extra bodies. And Desiree, which is very good, as well as like good in the grind game. So I have a feeling like Engraver is just a good card to have. And I highly doubt anything past Beatrice, maybe Apo gets hit. Ban the state? We have no idea. They said late August, whatever the fuck that means. My, like, I guess going theory, if I had to guess, is it'll be during YCS Sacramento. Like they did for YCS Philly. Or YCS Guadalajara. Or they did for YCS Cancun. So, that'll be fun if it is that. But also, that is just strictly guess. I have zero information. After round 5. I hate when they do that, by the way, because it pretty much invalidates that entire tournament. Although, for this one, it's actually fine, because we already know that the Snake Eye is going to be, like, smashed. And that the Sacramento will be the only format in the deck list. Or, sorry, the only deck... What was I going to say? Sacramento will be the only deck for the rest of this format. No, Sacramento will be the only event with these decks for the rest of the format, then it changes. I don't know why that was so hard for me to say. Fuck. Yeah, Worlds is early September. Seattle. It's such a hard time saying that. That was so weird. I need to slow down. I'm tripping over my own words. What current banned card would you see coming back to this list? Could I see? Well, if you remember, I made a prediction. How do I see my content on here? My videos. You should watch my Crystal Beast video. Yeah. The Manless predictions here. So go watch that. I'm having a stroke? No. I'm good now. I fixed it. That shows I'm not having a stroke. There's a new Apodracosis trap. I don't really want to look at that. I don't really care enough. Bringing back Maxi. I think I talked about it. I mean, if you want to go straight to the end. Welcome back for it. And I want, like, here. There you go. Voila. There's your list. Done. What's your thoughts on Stardust Beast with Centurion? It's very good into Yubo. Stardust? What do you mean by Stardust? You mean just playing the cosmic cards? I need to come to Lille and we both play BA. Vlad. It's the same day as the Duels Cup though. If I don't win Worlds, I probably won't be there. What you can do, Vlad, is you can come to Cancun. Just win Worlds. I'll try my fucking best. If I win Worlds, I'll be there and I'll spend a week there. And Rhapsody will come as well. I'll do some sightseeing. Switch to Master Duel. Where's Master Duel? There we go. Up. Hello, face. Bye. There we go. Why is the headphones like that? It's broken. That's why. It's just broken. The real motivator right there is to win Worlds so I can play BA. That'd be crazy. You sent the link for the classical music used in the video, by the way. You did? Ooh, thank you. Yeah, I love Vivaldi. Me and Wrath went to a Vivaldi concerto in Venice. That was awesome. We thought they were playing Four Seasons. That would have been the best because I mean I'm a basic classical enjoyer. Like I don't I don't know that much about it, but I know more than the average person. I thought that'd be cool. How's World Prep going? It's going all right. Nice. Yes, I'm getting my gems. Mwahahahaha. Ooh, we have enough for packs. All right, what pack do we get? And we should do a prediction. So whatever pack we're gonna get, let's figure out how many ultras we're gonna get. How many ultras? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 plus. Let's figure out what we want. The BA pack. I think I have BA cards though. I think I have everything. So I'm not opening BA packs. Have I ever done Master Duel tier lists? No. So for the longest time, Master Duel did really shit on my channel. On YouTube at least, so I didn't do it. The Altart pack, maybe. But now I'm doing more Master Duel on my YouTube. I might. Yeah, what Burning Abyss cards do I need? I only have 2 Dantes, I guess, but I'm not opening it for fucking 3rd Dante. I have everything else. Someone was talking about Centurion, and I kind of got distracted. Okay, here's the deck. Is this going to be just like a tiny Centurion engine you search off 12s? Oh no, it's just... Why do you... I've never seen this before. I've actually just never seen this. I will look at this later. I have no idea what this does. And I can let you know, I guess. Oh, I realize I'm not screen sharing. I'm not on the right. This is the link that got posted. It's this. I haven't seen this in rated at all. Average deck size, 50 cards. Not thrilled with that. I can look at it later, but not right now. Back to Master Duel. Okay. So what pack do we open? Altart packs, right? Yeah, we read the evil cards earlier. 1663 URs is crazy. Well, that's because I keep opening bullshit packs. The one that I built for a video yesterday is this. But I filmed like... So, I filmed videos for Master Duel like up until the next 2 months pretty much. Already pre-filmed. So I've been playing a lot of ladder with like bullshit decks like this for fun. This deck is sick. This was fun. This was a lot of fun to play. It's actually not bad. This video should come out the week of or week after Worlds. Runic Penguins. But you can see how many random bullshit ultras I've built spending. Like buying packs or whatever. I have branded. I don't need branded cards. Oh, the wind water event. I haven't done that yet. Is it just flu? It's just flu, right? I feel like I've opened these packs already. Featured cards. What am I missing? Your cards. Yeah, I mean, I have Wind of the other art. I don't want to open this pack. I already have everything. How about this pack? I don't have this. I mean, I don't really care about these. I just have everything else I need. I think I have tunings as well. The other art. Do you have goatee? I don't have goatee. I build a goatee. Goatee. Oh, I pulled this the other day. But I mean, wait, I have most of these. I just don't have this. I'm actually not missing much. Do I need how many of these do I need? How many Deep Beyonds do I need? Doesn't even play the field spell. Okay, so I don't need any cards, right? I can get supers against craft. Okay, what pack do I get, guys? What pack do I get? Are there any cards here that I kind of want? For my next fun deck. A Royal Bridge of the Heart. There are so many cards I want Royal. You have Snatch Deals? I do have Snatch Deals. I crafted those. How many cards I'm missing here that I want? Phantom Chaos could be cool, but no. Dinosaurs? Oh, what the hell just happened? Play Sharks? Nah. Ostinatos? But that'll probably be in the set with them, though. The toy cards? I do have the toy cards. Multi-Faker. Anamorphia. Do you have Harpies yet? I don't think Harpie's a high rarity. I meant to click Harpy. I guess I don't. Fucking 3 dusters. That's stupid. Sure. So let's generate. I even need multiple channelers, probably. Let's just do this, whatever. Alright, so most of you guessed I'd get 1 Ultra. Really, guys? 1 Ultra? Alright. So 10 packs, let's go. Open up some packs. Nice. Why is Ultimate Dragon? I gotta turn on the Christmas music again. Open sleigh. Are penguins better or worse than Gate Guardian? Better. No. My penguin runic deck is actually kind of nice. That's not even in the pack. Garbage. Already have those. Snowman Streams just followed me. That's pretty funny. My dad used to play this deck back in the day. Battery Man. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Skip. Clean the gates. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, skip. Hysteric Sign. All right. Too late for the negate. Anything here? Super Taper Royal? No. This is proving to be not very helpful. Turn off Christmas music. All right, let's go to some classical music. Like we saw in the BA video. All right, Ultra on the left side again. I guess this is the new card. Royal Darkon would have been cool. What card's the best in Royal? I think XYZ's. Okay, whatever. Here we go. Ultras. Ew. All right. Cancer. I guess if I ever build an Arcana Force deck, I have this. All my ultras are just not even in the pack. You have the card in a Dustable Royal. Oh, from the giveaway. That's funny. Ooh. Pretty good. Must say, not too shabby. The one person who guessed 4+, enjoy your rewards. I'm trying to get Ultra Feather Duster. No, I just wanted Harpies cards. I think I have that duster. Yeah, I have 3 dusters. I don't fucking want this. Wait, no. Oops. That's fine. Okay. Okay, let's go to the Wind and Water event. So what's the prize here? Just gems. Mako Tsunami. Legendary Fisherman. I kind of want that. Fuck. No. 17,000 so far, though. Or 16,000. How long is this until? 26th. Alright. What are the decks that are good? Goaty. Is event even live? Oh, it's not even live. It's live tonight. I wonder what deck we're going to play. We can build penguins for this, right? Will let me play penguins? No, because the runic cards are in here, right? Oh, all the runic cards are just banned. They banned Baron. I could probably make like a runic penguin deck work though. It's not as good though as the runic cards. Josh is in shambles. Apo is also banned. Goaty's probably pretty good. Is Marincess legal? Ooh, Marincess would be a really good pick. Play Dragon Rulers. Marincess is just legal. This is legal, this is legal, this is legal. Is Wave legal? Oh, Wave is not legal. Okay. Wave is kind of busted. Oh, the adventure card's legal? Is Griffin legal? Nope. Bum bum. I do have Royal Rare Mermail cards for some reason. Oh, because I open up tier packs a lot. I'm gonna have Royal Rare Gaios and 2 Royal Rare Megalos. Do something with that, maybe. Speedroids turn 1 as Blazer. Ugh, that's toxic. Armed Thunder Dragon with rulers. This shit's an ultra? Why? I love duplicate ultras. Yeah, I know I do. But I don't need to like go through and comb my inventory because I have plenty of dust right now. I think Umi is full powered. Yeah, but that's not good for his water decks. I would not do that in the mirror. Wait, Nekroz? That could be fun. Nekroz could be fun. I don't own these cards. Paleo? Wait, is Paleo allowed? Oh, it's just Paleo. Paleo's like crazy, right? Brio is short printed, yeah. Interesting. Well, we'll build it when we stream next because we're not going to play this obviously now. No reason to. Oh, we can't. We literally can't. Have an alert. Oh, this is to build my deck. Okay. Can't open that up on stream. That'd be bad. Any other news here? Okay. Paleo is legal, but a lot of the good extra support is not legal. Well, I saw that Opamania and Anomalocare are legal. Do 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 do. Umi is there to keep the wind decks in check. Yeah, because I'm sure those are going to be the problem. I feel like water is overall a better attribute than wind. Rollback and Karma Cannon are legal too. Yeah, Paleo sounds like a pretty good pick. Backtrack's illegal, that's fine. And Daddy Anomalocare we trust. Yes, yes. We are Josh bots. What do you guys call them, little shitlings? Baron and Unicorn carry the wind. Baron's banned. A Rhino sends tier cash. It is so bad. Let's make it. It's so what tier cards are legal then? I mean, this is terrible, right? Like, you just can't even fuse. Just the water ones? Yeah, I mean, this is nothing. It's not even a deck. Paleozoics. Let's throw in 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. And then we got rollback. Trap trick. Imperm. Wabaku. Daruma Cannon. Dragon Maid. Laundry? Yeah, laundry is still legal, right? I don't know how good it is. We play Laundry Trap. This card is funny. Elemental Burst. Sure. Ice Dragon Prison. Don't play that card, please. No, no, we have to. Morganite. Easy. Pay the traps that you draw paying 1,000. What? Hope for Escape? Why do you play Hope for Escape? Morgue is a one of. Why would it be a one of? Rise of the Heights, Needlebug Nest, yeah. Do that, and then I said Rise to the Heights. There we go. There's our deck. Josh plays 2. Fine. 42 card deck. How many cards is this deck? Paleo Apologist. I don't hate Paleo. I don't like Trap Tantalizing Tune. Why would you play a 60 card deck? You don't need to. You need traps that let you draw. Like the Judgment. You really need those though? Are those legal? Reasoning? Fine, it is, okay. Grass. I don't know if you need this, but whatever. Judgment. Here you go. Tribe Infecting Virus. Fine. Trap Tantalizing Tune. There you go. Magical Hats. No. Lost Wind? I don't want to play Lost Wind. Sprite get double burst. No. Desires Duality. Yeah, Pot of. Probably just play all of them, right? Are we happy with this? Y'all gonna let me be? Stop suggesting magical hats. I'm not playing magical hats. What do I need EEV for? 56 is better than 60. I mean, I'm not gonna put in more bad cards. Isn't throwing more better because of Zeus? Sure, yeah, it is. Why only 4 battle-related traps? Because I don't think you need more. Is Coral and Enemies Zealantis legal? Probably. Probably is, right? Zealantis. Yep. Anemone. Area. That's how you spell area. Area. Super rares. Search up Exceed. Being nothing legal, right? What attributes this is water? Sure. I don't care about these cards. Barbecue is better. I hate you guys. Waboku. And then I'll play 3 of it, whatever. Miss Starboy, sure. My God. Anything else we need? Tears the Overroot. I mean, you don't need more cards, I think. Any other generic links we can play that do anything? I don't think we need anything else. I mean, I have 2 of these. Might as well just play 2. Is Dweller legal? I have no level 4s. How would I make Dweller? Evenly for rollback combo. No. Cat Shark? I mean, it doesn't do anything, but sure. Cat Shark is garbage. Daigusto Phoenix. Free pack. Ooh. Good enough. We'll call it there for now. And we'll throw in a 3rd Anomalocaris. I don't know. A 3rd Opamenia. Free pack. Let's go. Why the fuck aren't you playing BA today? I literally haven't played a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! On stream. Literally have not played a single game of Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm a React streamer now, don't you know? Sure, whatever. Free super. All right. As we're approaching 5 o'clock, I do have to get going, guys. I have a classroom that I'm teaching tonight on Patreon for YCS Sacramento. I was hoping there'd be a ban list so we'd have stuff to go over, but don't. So that's fantastic. But yeah, Jesse's a React streamer and a Theorycraft only. That's the thing, guys. I don't like actually dueling. I don't like actually playing Yu-Gi-Oh! I like talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! I like thinking about Yu-Gi-Oh! I like watching Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't like playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Unless it's Cube, because that's deck building. But yeah, so I will try find time for tomorrow before I head out for Sacramento. I can't promise it. If not, when I'm back from the YCS, I will be live. I know streams have been scarce lately, guys, but I'm prioritizing World Practice over everything else right now. And the most inflexible of my schedule is the streaming portion. So I promise I will do my best when I can. But yeah, obviously there are limits. So thank you guys all for coming, and I'll catch you guys all next time. Peace. Send you to some classical music outro.